And now we're going to start streaming live on Custom Stream. Oh, good. I did have everything set up correctly. Welcome, everybody. Oh my goodness, this is season 2, episode 100. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. I know that you guys could be doing anything else, including flying paramotors, but you decided to jump on here and chat with us. We already got the super chat is overflowing. We got Sean Natzker, Bill H., John Wayne, Will Fly, Daniel Rouge. Man, everybody's just chatting away. That's really awesome. I appreciate you guys. My name is Sean Simons, also known as PPG Grandpa. You can find us anywhere that does podcasting by searching for PPG Grandpa's Paramotor Podcast. You can watch us live like you are right now at clearproptv.com or iflyparamotors.com and listen to us on paratalk.org. Look at all the people that we have on here. Let's go through real quick and say hello to everybody. Tonight, we're just going to be talking about paramotors, the episode that we're on, what we've been doing since those episodes, and really soon we're going to be on our 3rd year of podcasting. So let's start up over here. I mean, I don't know what your screen looks like, but I can see Cole right over here on the top. So we're going to say hello to Cole. What you doing, buddy? How you doing?
Doing great. Flew this afternoon and excited to be on the 100th episode.
That's awesome. Do you remember what episode you were on? It was just a couple episodes ago, right?
Yeah, 97 maybe.
That's awesome. So what you been doing since your 97th episode?
Staying out of trouble and flying. Weather permitting. Permitting, of course, up here in Chicago.
That's awesome. Well, I can't wait to chat more with you this evening. Thank you so much for joining us. Next to me over here now, we got Will Fly from willflyppg.com. What's up, buddy?
Hey, guys. Yeah, 100 show. I mean, that's incredible. Absolutely. 100 of anything's a lot.
Yeah, it is.
Had a really nice flight tonight. It was real smooth air and just beautiful sunset. And I don't know, man. I'm either flying or thinking about flying, one of the two.
Awesome. Well, you're always on our panel, and I always appreciate you jumping on here. I know that there's so many other things that you could do, but you always help us out here. So definitely appreciate you always being on the panel, buddy.
Thank you.
We also got Mark in the house. What's up, buddy? You've been here, what, the last couple of times on here. So I'm glad that you made it here. How you been?
I'm assuming you're talking about me.
Yeah.
Doing okay. Yeah, I was on episode 54. I just looked that up. And doing okay. I actually flew today with Cole Parsons and Larry Carell. I believe he was on too. Hopefully he'll join us later today on here too. But yeah, that's what I did today. Good to be here.
Well, good to see you again, buddy. Glad that you're here. We also got Brian Haybill Waller from ppgbrian.com. What's up, bud?
What's going on, guys? Glad to be here. 100 episodes. Woo, woo. Man, that's something special, huh?
It really is.
I was episode number 26, if I remember correctly.
Wow.
And yeah, so I've been on here for over a year, and this has been awesome, man. Just hanging out. This is my para family, and it's good to be part of it. I love flying paramotors. I love hanging out with y'all, and I love talking about it. And I like making videos every once in a while, traveling and flying with you, as many of you as possible. And it's a good life. And if I haven't flown with you yet, I look forward to doing it soon.
Absolutely. Thank you, Brian, so much. I know that you've been here for a long time. You helped me out a lot on this podcast. So thank you so much for not only being a guest, but helping us on being on the panel for a year and some change. I appreciate that.
Glad to be here, man. Appreciate you having me.
Absolutely, buddy. We also got Paramom USA, our own Linda Anderson with her little pom-poms. Come on, where are the pom-poms? There they are.
Welcome, everybody. I'm so excited about just Mondays. I'm always excited about Mondays, you know me, but I don't even know I think it's been like 2 years maybe that I started with the show with you, kind of.
I don't remember the first time that you joined us. I was hoping that you
I
were
know
going to
I was so
remember.
nervous and scared, and now it's like I love my parrot family. I've made so many friends, in the last couple of years, and it's it's awesome. It's awesome. Thank
And
you
you
all for
probably
listening.
helped get half these people that were on here on the show.
That's right. That's right.
Our PR
And
girl.
and thank you so much. I mean, without you guys, we wouldn't have a show. That's
That's-
just,
For
and
sure.
that's why I'm always reaching out to people. Come on over. Come to our house. Come on. Come to our Zoom. Come to our show. It's awesome. And yeah, and these people get on there and then they're friends with us, and then other people see them and they make more friends, and there you go. The family just gets huge. So thank you so much, guys.
Well, thank you, Linda Anderson. And if you want to be on our show, just get up with Linda Anderson. You can find her at paramomusa.com. That forwards over to her Facebook page. And we also got Doug Martin in the house. Doug Martin, he's been on our show a couple of times, actually. He had an accident, and we talked about his accident and how he's been doing so much better. So I hear that you've been doing a lot of flying on your trike now.
I've got about 125 hours of my trike.
Wow.
So the summer, we were lucky enough to have some really good weather. So I was just looking at my flight log, and it's like 25 flights, 20 flights, 12 flights, 6 flights, 2 flights. Oh, I'm depressed. So the last 3 weeks have been on 1 flight in the last 3 weeks. So tonight was the only flyable night, and I got to work right at sunset. So, but it's finals week. After this week, I'm done for 3 weeks. So I think I'm going to toss a couple bicycles, a couple paramotors, my dive gear, throw it all in the trailer. Head to Virginia, see my daughter, head to Florida, maybe get some diving in, stop up to one Up Adventures. I want to make my way to the Carolinas, make my way back up. I might make a few weeks of it. So might as well enjoy myself.
Absolutely. Do you now your accident that you had was on Valentine's Day of what year was that?
It would have been about 20 months ago. So would have been 19
Okay.
or
So
20. Don't ask me what. No math. It's finals week. No math.
gotcha.
Now for the record, I left everything in the college. I grabbed a tablet when my video disappears, simply because my battery died. But otherwise, I'm here till the end. So.
All right. Sounds good, Doug. Glad that you're here, buddy. Glad that you're flying around and everything's going good. We also got Eric and Jade Lear in the house. Holy smokes, we got them both. How you doing, guys? You're on mute right now. They're like, oh crap, where's the mute? There it is.
Hey guys, welcome from Northern Wisconsin. Congratulations, Sean, on your 100th episode. Pretty cool.
Well, thank you very much. Like I said, couldn't do it without you guys. Wouldn't want to do it without you guys. Who'd want to hear old grandpa talking 100 episodes all by himself? That'd be boring as hell. So thank you, everybody. And just in case y'all did not know, Eric does a podcast on Tuesdays, and you can find him at ppglear.com. And his wife, Jade, does a podcast on Wednesday. You can find her at paramotorgirl.com. Thank you guys for being on the show.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
We also got Andrew in the house. What's up, buddy?
Hey, how are you doing?
Doing good. We didn't have a live show, but we did do a podcast with you, with your paramotor that you bought before you got training. And that'll be interesting to talk about live. How you been, bud?
Not too bad. I obviously, what you said about the paramotor, I ended up selling it to put some money towards a wing. I've just been training with you in the meantime. And if you wanted to go with screen names, my YouTube is I try to fly PPG, because that's what I'm doing. I'm trying, but better to try and train with you than to just get up there and make a bad decision, because almost had some accidents. But yeah, in the meantime, take it slow, steady. It'll be worth it, and I'll be flying with some of y'all as much as I can in the future.
Absolutely. He tried to self-train. He broke how many props before he came to me?
4.
4 props before he came to me. We tried to do a hang test, and then what happened to your paramotor while we're doing a hang test?
Pulled the paramotor out of my car. It fell down on the back bracket that holds the straps for the harness, cracked, and it just snapped right off. Which, I mean, that's the whole thing that's holding me up in the air. Kind of lucky that it actually happened in front of you. It was a bit humiliating, but stopped me from being like, oh, I'll just throw a tack weld on it and get back up there. No, it needed a lot more than that.
Yeah, I'm glad that it happened on the ground and not while you were up test flying it. That would have been awful. So glad that you're in the house, Andrew. John Wayne's in the house too, but we're going to skip over John. He's kicking back in the background to JP Tulo. He's our TikTok Tulo, the only guy I know that has 2 million views on a cat swatting his thing. What's up, JP? You're
2
still
million?
on.
What's going on?
Yeah, 2 million. 2 million hits on TikTok. Right?
I mean, yeah,
No, you're-
2.1, I think.
Yeah.
Man, that it started out really slow too, and then I think it really took off in Albania or something ridiculous. It didn't do real good in the States, but then in Europe it like completely blew up. It was the weirdest thing. But yeah, it's cute. I like having fun making short video clips, whatever. Nothing too serious.
Yeah, I saw your cool video that you did for Will Fly's video. That was really good. Sitting at the desk. That was good.
Oh yeah. Did Will release that yet?
Yeah.
Oh
Sure
shoot.
did.
Man, I'm
Yeah.
so behind.
Man, I don't want to know about your behind, but all right. Glad that you're here, buddy.
Happy to
Thanks
be
for
here.
joining us, JP.
Hey, they say, what is it? After 100 hours, you're an expert. So are we all paramotor experts, or are we podcast experts?
No,
or
it's 10,000 hours.
10,000? Well, 73% of all statistics are all made up. So
I thought it was 47.9.
yeah, something. I just made that up anyway. So
I just made that up too. All right. Well, thank you, JP, for being on here and helping us out over the years, being our IT guy and helping us with that spinning wheel of Winnie things.
always a
All
pleasure.
right. We also got Jim Senard from Canada, the only person I know that has money that smells like maple syrup. What's up, buddy?
Really happy to be part of the show today.
Well, glad that you're here. I wish that we had some smell-o-vision so we could scratch your money and smell some maple syrup. No?
I can give you some. I'll see if I can.
Okay, sounds good. Well, we're glad that you're here, and thank you for helping us print those paramotor calendars at paramotorcalendar.com. You can find Jim's print place over at carepp.com and his flying shenanigans at careppg.com. We also got Larry. Larry Correll's in the house. What's up, buddy?
Hey, how's it going there, Sean? What's a good word?
Doing good, buddy. What episode did we have you on? Do you remember offhand?
I remember you were really desperate and you asked anyone to come, and I was the only one available. So I think you got stuck with me. Was it 34, 35, 53, somewhere in those general areas.
That's good. Well, glad that you are on. Glad that you are back. We'll definitely have to ask what you've been doing since you've been on the show. Anything interesting happened?
Oh, just got back from a flight with Mark and Cole, so we're just thought we'd hop on and wish you the best. We really appreciate you having us on. No, just been doing a lot of flying, even though it's cold here. It's been in the 20s. I think today was actually a toasty day. It was 55. No tornadoes like you guys got. Did you guys get hit by the tornadoes down there?
It skipped where we were and kind of started hitting like a little northeast of us, and then it did that long 200-mile trek.
Yeah, sounds brutal.
Yeah,
I'm glad you're here with us.
I am too. So thank you, Larry, for being on the show. It's been a while since I've seen you or talked with you.
Yeah, I'm always hanging around. I'm always reading what you got to say. I don't always reply, but just try to keep up with everybody. I'm on the line every day. I work from home, so half the time I'm doing my work, the other half the time I'm seeing what everybody's got to say.
You know what? If you work from home, why are you not flying and doing this stuff as you're flying? That would be cool.
I've actually done meetings online. I've
Wow.
taken calls with business people, and luckily enough, first time I tried it was with Cole, just to see if you could hear the buzz or the engine. You really can't. So we were taking calls, and if we had a meeting or something like that where we didn't have to talk a whole lot, it's like, shit, let's go fly. So we did. Turned on the phone and just kind of
Awesome.
showed up. It
That
works.
is so
It
awesome.
works.
That is so awesome. We'll have to ask you later on the show what you're using so we can do the same thing when we have to do a meeting. Hey, I'm sick at work. Wait a minute, I'm flying, but you don't hear it. Well, thank you, Larry, for being on the show, buddy. Good to see you
Thank
again.
you. Good to see you.
We also got Sean Nasker in the house. Sean Nasker.
Hey, hey.
Good to see you, buddy. You're still doing your paramotor ground handling school?
Yeah.
Good deal.
Calamity Kite Clinic. Yeah, I still have that up and it's going. Right now we're kind of in the slow time because it's winter and
Right.
Ohio's kind of cold and brutal conditions, but yeah, it's still up and going. And happy 100th episode, by the way. That's one heck of an accomplishment.
Thank you.
You know, please, everybody keep those that have been in the path of the tornadoes and in your prayers because they could definitely use it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a shame to hear of tragedy like that striking just before the holidays. It's very hard on a lot of folks.
It really is. It really is. Unfortunately, too, we've had an accident from one of our paramotor buddies on the 10th, and we do have a fundraiser that we put in the show notes. I will copy this and I'll paste it in here too. They are doing some donations for the family. So let me go ahead and put that in our super chat so you can see that and check it out.
Oh, and let me put on blast here. Today, I was notified by somebody via text message that they had received a message from me on Facebook. All right. It is not me. I do not have a Facebook. Somebody hacked my Facebook and I guess deleted my page or something, so I couldn't get into it or something. And they've been sending messages about grants or something like that. Do not respond, hit report, make sure that that page is taken down because I'm not a part of Facebook or anything like that anymore. So I'm just sending that out for all of y'all that watch the show, part of the paramotor paragliding community, those that know me on Facebook. It's not me. So
That's
do not reply.
awful because I just got myself, a grant from you. I mean, all I had to do was send in $10,000 and they're going to give me a $20,000 grant. So I'm still waiting on that.
Don't be. and don't fall for it because I'm telling you right now, my account got hacked and somebody's impersonating like it's me when it's not. And
don't worry, Sean. I don't think anybody clicks links like that.
Well, that's the thing.
Except for my parents.
But that's the thing. You don't know that it's not me because it's my page. It's my personal page.
I've been hacked also. Matter of fact, I've been hacked so bad that my original Facebook that you guys were all on like before where I had 5,000 friends, it was hacked and deleted by the hacker. And Facebook would not give it back to me. So I started all over, which reminds me, if you guys that are watching this have been wondering, what happened to me, I was hacked. I don't have a Facebook. I do have a Facebook now. I'll put that in the show notes and the link or the super chat. And you guys, if you want to, you can be my friend if you want to.
See, I'm not even bothering with adding. I'm not even bothering with adding Facebook again because it's just a lot of work to set up another page just for that to end up happening after about 3,000 friends. It just seems like a lot of work. Just
no big deal. Well, welcome, Sean. Glad that you're here. Glad that we didn't click your link, but I am still waiting for that grant. This is our 100th episode. 100th episode, guys. 2 years, and in just a couple more weeks, we're going to be season 3, 3 years, and into our. I don't even know what we're going to be doing. So thank you everybody that has joined us. I definitely appreciate you. Let's go ahead and take a look in the super chat. Who has been in here and talked and we did not know about that? Sean Nasker, of course, you're here. Shannon Brooks, Mad Sloper, DP. What's up, buddy? Aaron I, the Paramotor guy. Let's see, lots of chatting. Brian Waller. Who else? Let me scroll down a little bit, see who else is in here. Say hi. Slow Days. Walter. Walter, what are you doing there when you could be on the panel? John Wayne's in the house. And did I miss anybody?
Bill H.
Bill H. Yep. What's up, Bill H? Bill H in the house.
We got Nick KC80RW.
Okay. What's up? Good to see y'all.
Paramotor NC.
Oh, Paramotor NC. PPG, the other Nick.
The other Nick, that's right.
Yeah, PPG, the other Nick. I'm trying to scroll through. There's so many people chatting. This is really cool.
Mad Sloper.
Mad Sloper, yep.
Sean Simon.
What? I'm in the house too. That's awesome. Oh, DP, you dropped $10 in the super chat. I just saw that. Thank you very much, buddy. I appreciate that.
ReptileGuy.net.
Yeah.
Stephen English.
Yep.
Man, there's
Tulo.
lots of people.
Got
And Eric from ppglear.com's in here too. Well, that's awesome.
He's a famous dude. He's got his own show.
I know, that's awesome.
John
Stephen
S.
Stephen
James.
English. All right. I hope that we were able to say your name live on our 100th episode. All right. So, what has been going on, you guys, since you've been on the show? And I guess, I don't know, let's just talk about paramotors. Any interesting thing that's been going on that you want to talk about as far as paramotors? Oh, come on. We can't have dead air.
there's a lot. I think oftentimes people have a fascination with the idea of flight before control. I think that's a very important aspect. It's not so much about getting in the air. It's about understanding how to get in the air safely. You know?
That's true. And one of the things that you guys got to do, as Andrew knows, Andrew, tell us what you did and what you should have done.
Yeah, I guess the only real things I can add to this conversation is what not to do, because I don't have a whole lot of experience. But yeah, I've had a fascination with flight my whole entire life. I always wanted to fly planes. I mean, I'm in the Air Force, you know, just taking an extended lunch break for this. But played a lot of flight simulators, understand the idea of flight, and have the confidence to where I'm like, oh, I can just buy this new reused paramotor on eBay, bought a wing off of the Facebook Marketplace, and just went for it. I read a book, I was watching YouTube videos. I mean, I had the concept down, and I got off the ground, I'd say 1 out of every 20 attempts, and broke 4 props in the process. I mean, when I was up in the air, yeah, I was able to control it, and everything worked out fine. I landed fine, but just not knowing what equipment that I actually needed, especially my wing size. The first wing that I got was a 36 meter. Had no idea what that meant, but it was like flying the Titanic over my head. And I thought that it was just me, like, why am I not able to fly everything properly? Nope, it was all bad equipment. Didn't know what I was doing.
Do you remember how old the equipment was?
The motor, I believe, was made in 2010. The first wing I got, the 36 meter, was also made in 2010. And I ended up trading that online with another instructor down in Florida. He sent me a 30 meter, you know, because he wanted one for a trike, because mine was made for a trike. And the 30 meter was made in 2001. It obviously flew a lot easier. I was able to kite it and get off the ground with that, whereas the 36 meter I couldn't. But still, way too big, way too old, incredibly hard to handle.
Yep. Unfortunately, we've heard that a lot as far as, you know, people trying to get their gear and try to fly before they get instructor. And how many people have gone to instructor and, you know, the instructor said, this is not going to work. I mean, I was agog when I saw Andrew's equipment. As a matter of fact, real quick, I know that you got to go because you're on your extended break. That's why we're talking to you first, Andrew. But tell us real quick, what are all the things that you had to do to your paramotor to make it work the way it should work?
Well, when I got it, everything was fine. You know, it was older, but when things started going wrong, so the first one, the pull start snapped. So I ended up taking that apart, spooling it back together, tying the rope just to make it work. I did it out in the field. The hand strap on the throttle broke, the Velcro. So I used zip ties to hold that on because I just wanted to get up in the air that day. And the main dangerous thing was my kill switch on the throttle broke. It just stopped working. So I'm like, oh man, how am I gonna, you know, be able to kill the engine without changing out the whole hand throttle? And I ended up, realizing I could just choke out the engine. So I bought a choke throttle switch for a lawnmower from Home Depot. I ran it up to the choke behind my back and put a switch kind of down by my left thigh to where the motor would be running in order for me to kill the engine. Let's just say I was flying. Luckily, I never got off the ground at this point, when I made this modification, but I would have to stow the left brake, reach down, hit the switch to choke out the motor, and then grab the brake again to safely get myself down. Yeah, that is definitely more than I would need to do to safely get down without it was stupid.
Yep.
Well, and there's something to be said on that. You know, the amount of money that it costed in repairs, equipment, your body, that it kind of equivalates, going that route, it costs a little bit more money, right?
Yeah, especially in props, because I mean the props were about $300 a piece, so I definitely put a little bit over $1,000 into props alone, and I only got off the ground 3 times. But I'm kind of headstrong. Like I like to do everything myself. I work on my car myself. And I'm like, I don't need an instructor. I don't got to pay all this money, and I didn't give up. Like I spent countless hours out in the field. Like on Saturdays, I would just go out to this field in this park and just stand out there in the Arkansas heat, trying over and over and over again and sweating my ass off. Like I'm gonna get up in the air. And a couple times I did, and it was great. But man, when I'd break a prop or fall down and botch a takeoff, it was just like you'd see me nearly having a meltdown out in the field. Like, God, I gotta wait another 3 weeks for this thing to come in the mail, another $300. But here we go again.
Yeah.
And it hurts. It really does. It hurts. It hurts your wallet. It hurts your yourself, your ego, your personal. You're hard on yourself. You're like, man, all I had to do was just this one thing. I know how to do this. Yeah, and it that quick.
Some of the most annoying parts. Sorry, go ahead.
I says thing is, Andrew, too, you're not alone in this. There's so many other people out there that do the same thing and the same mistakes happen. And, once you get along, get into a group of people too, you could be guided into, things that you should be doing to kind of help you and prevent you from having all those expenses, sending you to an instructor that could work with you and, just kind of guiding you not to buy the gear ahead of time. So it's like a live and learn, but yeah, you're not the first and you definitely won't be the last who does it that way.
I'm really glad. Of friends and people. So I've had a lot of friends and people who are like, hey, how do I get into this? And first thing I tell them is don't just jump into it. Don't get your own equipment. Talk to an instructor first, and I'll give them the contact of Sean and be like, man, I wish I did this. And some of the more embarrassing things is when I'd be out in a park or on the side of the road trying to get up in the air, people want to stop and watch. And one time I had 12 people that just pulled over and they're all standing there like recording me. And I'm like, I'm looking at them and I'm, trying to set up and I'm like, hey, y'all are going to be sorely disappointed. And they're like, no, we'll wait and watch. And I'm like, you don't understand. And then I'd take off, spin out because my wing was crap, start setting up again. And they'd still stand there and watch. No pressure.
I'm glad that you found Sean, PPG Grandpa, man, and he was able to kind of steer you in the right direction. But there's a saying that goes, what you don't spend on training, you will spend on busted gear. And I think that you've basically proved that saying. You said 4 props. I mean, that's the cost of training right there at some schools. So, man, I'm glad that you found him, and I came very close to trying to buy gear before I got into training, because it was like 9 months before I could get to training. I was like, let me go ahead and order some stuff, and somehow I held back, and it was one of the smartest things I did. Definitely recommend anybody out there is thinking about getting into the sport, get some people that know about the sport, some instructors, get some training if you can, for sure. But definitely get some knowledge before you buy your gear, because maybe you can barely afford to get into the sport. Just to start with, you don't want to waste your money, that's for sure.
Yeah, the other
100%.
thing that is important is the time. I mean, if you get good training, you're talking about being able to, I mean, I'm just, this is a generalization. You get in the air in a few days, a week, whatever, as opposed to, I don't know how much time, Andrew, you've spent, trying to get that big freaking wing up over your head. But yeah, not only is it a time savings, but it's like what everyone else said. I mean, it gives you a starting point where you can develop friendships, and you've got like a support group, you know what I mean, to help you out. So yeah, right on.
I get that
Absolutely.
question all the time online. People are always asking, can you send me a link to where I can order gear? Like, and they just found out what paramotoring is, 5 minutes earlier from watching a video.
Yeah.
And people are asking, where can I buy this? And it's like, please don't. You're gonna buy the wrong thing, the wrong size. It's just.
But
talk
JP,
to
that's
them.
how you get rid of your old wore out wings, man.
Yeah,
I think
not a bad idea.
I think that's why people do jump to that conclusion, though, is because they see guys like us, people that have been flying for years. They go out to the field, they take off, they shoot a TikTok video, make it look simple, nothing, and then boom, they're under a glider. They have the motor in their foot dragon. Well, it looks easy. It's appealing, With the internet, the way things are, instant gratification, people are looking for that. But what they don't realize is it's a lot of work. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of resources. There's a lot of learning involved, and you're not going to stop learning just because you've been around this many years, or you've done this many flights, or you do this, you're known for that. It doesn't matter. You're still learning. Everyone's learning. I'm still learning.
Absolutely. And it takes a lot of time too. I mean, once you're underneath that glider, it takes a long time, hours upon hours before you even take flight. Matt Sloper in the super chat said, reading books and YouTube videos are good to watch prior to training, but definitely wait to buy your gear until you hook up with an instructor, because hopefully your instructor will give you a couple of different motors and wings to try. So, that way you have an idea of like, what do you want? Like Will Fly, you start off with an Atom 80, right?
Yes.
And if you are able to use an Atom 80 and a 185 in class, you probably would have chose the 185. What do you think?
I would have chose the 185, and actually that was my choice, but I was steered towards the Atom 80. And looking back, I'm glad I was. And so, but a couple hundred hours later, then I was ready for the 185.
It left you something to grow into, right? Like kind of like having tip steer not tied into your glider at first. It gives you something you develop, you're able to rack up some hours under something that's a little bit safer. And then once you get a little more experience, you can move up to, a wing with more control and a bigger motor. I think that's
Some of us I think most of us just have that safety mentality. Some of us do. We want to start out with a safer wing or the safer motor. But yeah, go ahead, Will. I know you're about to jump in.
Well, no, I was just going to say, I totally get it, because the first thing that came to my mind when I decided I wanted to do this sport is, okay, what equipment do I need? I mean, it's just the first thing that came to my mind. So I think it's a natural thing, but doesn't make it the right thing, you know? So, yeah, I mean, get you some good training and you will not regret it.
And
Absolutely.
here's another idea too, you know, with that. You don't know what you don't know. And even I've been a victim of it. I'm sure there are many other guys that have been victim of it. I've heard of it, where people think that they're on a reputable site. It looks professional. They've got wings, they've got motors, they've got props, they've got everything. And it looks great. You type to the sales associate, whatever, sounds professional, everything. They send you, you know, the itinerary of what it will cost. You send them the money, and then you don't hear back from them, and you're out all that money, and it happens all the time. That's something else to watch out for too. At least when you have someone like Sean to talk to, or you have an instructor to talk, you have somewhere they'll say, hey, you know what? I've ordered from this guy. I've ordered from this place. I've ordered from this place. They can get you taken care of. And that is generally a good place to go, because they're not going to send you to some place that's going to rip you off or scam you, you know?
And there are some places out there. There are some bad places out there. You got to be
absolutely.
This
really
place,
enforcement.
this in our paramotor community, this is a very small community. You know, everyone could probably look back at everybody's wing and know where it came from, you know, who bought it new and where it went. Let's see, Doug, you haven't chatted with us for a little while. So how about your experience? You started off with foot launching, had an accident, and now you're doing trike with your retractor trike. How's that been going for you, bud?
Well, first off, by all means, instruction before gear. Even I made the same mistake. I started out on a DK Whisper, 28-meter wing, could barely fly it, finally got good gear. Your best friend in paramotor, period, is the community. The people around you, the people that know everything. I've got great dealers and great trainers by me. So stick to the guys that fly a lot around you, and you'll always find quality people. Stay away from the jerks. So,
you know, I don't know who the jerks are, but we'll stay away from them.
I'm not going to name names. That's fine. Everybody has their own version. That's fine. But to answer your question, so I've been flying now for almost 4 years. I had about 250 hours full launch. I've got about 125 hours on the retractor trike. Everything is going way better than it should. I'm back to work relatively normal. Not flying as much as I'd like to, just because the weather sucks lately. And I haven't been on the show a whole lot, just because college life started up. I'm normally in class till 10 p.m. They're all stuck in finals. Good week to be me, bad week to be them. So yeah, I figured I'd stop in and see how your 100 show's going.
No, it was good to see you. I know that we had you a couple of times, one after your accident and one as you were recovering and started to fly.
Yeah, I think it was somewhere right around the 30th something in the 60, mid 60s ish. So yeah, 36 and 64 or something like that. But yeah, way better than it should be. I've ran every mountain bike race this summer. I ran every gravel race this summer. Really, I can't be luckier. We're good. So all things considered. And that's one more thing too. I'm going down for more training. And I've learned a long time ago, go for your training, find out what you like, find out what you're really comfortable with, then make your decision, decide what you really want to do from there. Don't plan ahead, learn as you go. So
I agree. Also, too, there's a lot of fly-ins that you could go to. Even if you don't fly, you can actually go to fly-ins and check out other people's gear. You know, look at other people's gear, talk to other people, see what they fly, see their wings. So there's a lot of ways of looking at gear without even getting your gear first. So let's say that you go train, right? And there's a fly-in. Go to the fly-in, check out the fly-in, and you don't have to fly at the fly-in. Larry Correll, how many fly-ins have you been to?
I've been to 3 in my 15 years of flying, believe it or not. And the reason I'm going to start going to more, but there's always so many people in the air, and everyone that I've been to, or a good chunk of them that I've, talked to people about, there are near misses, accidents. It's kind of tough. The ones I've gone to have been local to me. Jeff Goyne used to have one out our way and have 20, 25 people. When you start getting up in the 50s, 75, 100 people, that's a lot of people in the air. So it's really tough. I definitely want to go to, there's the one in Ohio, the Dave Burden. It's one I definitely want to go and fly in, but I think in the near future, I'll start to take in a bunch more. I may not fly, but I'll definitely go get to meet everybody, because it is a great community of people.
When you've gone to those fly-ins, have you checked out other people's gear, maybe flown somebody else's wing or anything like that?
For sure, definitely. It's really good after you're a beginner for about a year. Start to get a feel for what kind of flying you want to do. Do you want to do acro? Do you not want to do acro? Are you comfortable with a beginner wing or an intermediate? What size wing? And try different motor. I found one thing also is that the harnesses you wear, the EPCO harness, I don't know if they're made for mid.
I think I'm losing you, buddy.
I'm not a tall guy. I'm 6 feet tall. Mark, you've got one, and it just doesn't fit. It just does not fit. So I've it's nice to go in and find a harness that actually fits, and try different wings, faster wings, slower wings, bigger wings, smaller. Try out different motors, and not only just different motors, but different size propellers on motors. And I've gone from 125 to 140 centimeter. Makes a huge difference in the power you get. So it's really kind of.
But be careful. But be careful because if you pick too small of a wing, you're going to be coming in really hot. And when you're going really fast and you come into land for your first time, it's like a pucker factor of 10. Like,
Very true.
Yeah. So just be careful with that. Don't go too small, because again, if once you get going and you get up in the air, there's no stopping it unless you're coming down to land, and you're going to land.
You can play with the trims. If you pull trims in, it'll help. But you're right. If you go too small, forget it. You're coming in, and it's more of a mental thing. I mean, you have more flare power, but when you first come in that first time and you're going so fast, you don't always think clearly. So it's kind of like you better ease your way down in size of the wing so you don't freak yourself out.
Since you've been flying so long,
those wheels from the retractor track, you come in hot, no worries.
Yeah, and your trim's all the way out too, if you want.
That's right. Don't we check it?
But Larry, you said you've been flying for 15 years, right?
Yep.
And what size of wings have you gone from? I mean, you went from something really like an A wing, and then you moved up, or how did your progression happen?
I started with 2 beginner wings. I think that was called a Momentum. It was by Blackhawk. First one was a 30 meter. That thing was a boat. I mean, that was a beast to get up in the air. Then I went to a 28 meter Momentum as well. It was a good wing. I think that's a knockoff of the Eden 2 or Eden 3. It flew great, but it was kind of a beginner wing. Then I went on to the Charger, which I really liked a lot, the Meccara Charger. And now I'm flying the Colorado. So I'm down to a 23 meter. But it was nice that I took the time to learn the wings. There's so many things you can do with the wing, from playing with the trims, stuff like that. So it's really important to play around with your wing and, really get to know it before you want to go to the next wing. Because a lot of wings have a lot of things that you don't, talk to other people that fly and find out what they do, how they handle. Don't just feel like you need to go from a beginner wing to a advanced wing. A lot of the beginner wings, like a Charger, that has a lot of speed to it, a lot of trim range. It'll float or it'll take you fast. So, I mean, the wings are even the beginner wings are starting to have a lot of power to them and speed.
You definitely seem to be the person to talk to. Do you have a YouTube or Facebook that we could go to and ask, since you do have 15 years of experience with wings?
Yeah, I'll put that down in the chat in a bit for you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And also too, Kent Stamey, he became a member of this channel for 6 months. So thank you very much for joining our channel for 6 months. He's able to see all the new videos that come out and all the cool things that are just for members that other people do not get to see. Let's see, who else has not chatted with us that needs to chat? How about the Lears? Lears, are you available to chat a little bit? Where'd the Lears go? Did they leave us? The Lears left us. Okay, no problem. Jim Simnard from Canada. You are a new-ish pilot. When I say new-ish, the last I heard, you have had over 100 flights, though. So how long have you been flying, and how's it flying in Canada, eh?
Been flying since July 4th. I don't have 100 flights yet. I'm at 99.
Oh,
Yeah.
so close.
So close.
So close.
And I'll
Hey,
tell you, the
there's no
weather has
gimmies.
the weather hasn't cooperated one bit the last 2 weeks.
Hmm.
What do you want to do for your 100th flight? You got something planned. I know you.
I do. I was planning on flying to Dairy Queen. There
Tucker
was a pilot that landed at a Dairy Queen in a helicopter over here in a town. And he got charged with dangerous use of an aircraft, but that got thrown out of court. So kind of an interesting situation, and it really does have implications for us as paramotor pilots because we land pretty much anywhere there's no airport. So
And the news is very eager to get on a story that is so important, even though it's really not. You know what I mean? Like they are dying. Like, did somebody find a paramotor somewhere? You know, because anything, if they were to happen to just see you, let's just say you went out, you find this beautiful field. It's quiet. There's nothing out there. You know, you've got Amish signs sitting out and stuff. And one reporter happens to see you getting your gear out and you take off in front of them. That's all it takes. We got to have him on the news. As a matter of fact, start rolling. We'll have a story right now while he's in there in the background, you know?
that'll be the time I trip. I know it.
Hey, Jim, real quick about that helicopter. I haven't heard about that. I know they're GA and they have different licenses than us, but you're in Canada and you have to have a license for your paramotor. So is that under the same thing with the GA, or how does that work being in Canada in your paramotor?
It's different. We have different rules than GA or private pilots or helicopters, but if you're landing a helicopter, you can I don't know about in the States, but as long as you're landing in a relatively safe place, you're allowed to land and you're allowed to take off. And you're allowed to do that here too. If you're in an emergency, if there's some kind of something goes on, or your intent is to land, you're allowed to do that. Now, obviously we want to be safe.
Absolutely.
So Jim, is a desire to have a blizzard considered an emergency?
He's landing in a blizzard or for a blizzard.
Yeah, for a blizzard. Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah.
I was told a story in the past, a long time ago, and I think it might work for when you're flying. If an emergency, okay, I had to poop. You know, hey, everybody has had an explosion. Okay, it's
All
happened.
right. We don't want to talk about that on our 100th episode, Sean.
Well, but no, but I'm just saying that is a legitimate. Hey, I had to land. I had to poop. You know, I mean,
I guess it's better than letting one go when you're flying. I
that's
guess
what
you're
I'm
right.
saying. Nobody wants poop flying in the air. That's terrible. You know.
Hey, Jim, I got a question for you. I don't understand the Canadian laws. I mean, I don't fly there, but if someone wanted to come from the US and fly somewhere in Canada, what would we have to go through? Do we have to get some kind of license, or do they accept some kind of rating, or?
I believe as a paramotor pilot, you're not allowed to, but I also believe there is an international pilot's license certificate that you can get. And I don't know how it would work because I've never tried to go other places, but I believe you can get it, but it is also in conjunction with your pilot's license. So I don't know exactly how that would work unless you had a USPPA certificate rating, or you'd have to, but it'd be really interesting to find out. and to have a bunch of you guys come up and join.
That would be nice. Get your tandem and your tandem rating. We don't have to worry about it. Mark Droid, since you were asking a question, what you been flying lately and how much have you been flying?
Well, I'm flying the same wing that I was flying when I last talked to you guys back in episode 54. It's the McPara Colorado. It's a 21. Yeah, having a good time with that one. My prior wing before that was the Eden 4 that I started out on. And then Larry actually mentioned something about, trying different wings, and I was going to chime in and say something, but I was on mute, so didn't really work. But I was going to say, even the beginner wings that fly slower, there's nothing wrong with those things, because honestly, I mean, you're flying and you may be going slower, but there's sometimes you'd like to go slower, where you could enjoy seeing wildlife without, flying by it. But, everyone seems to be in a hurry to get up to these advanced wings. And, a lot of times it's fun flying a slower wing too, depending. If you're with all your buddies and, everyone's, charging ahead, then yeah, you'd like to keep up. But, if you're flying solo or something, it's still a lot of fun. If you're first starting out, it's a lot safer, obviously, for you until you kind of understand what you're doing. So, but yeah, that's kind of what I've been doing. I've been flying with Cole and flying with Larry, and just, I guess, waiting for winter to happen, because we fly through winter as well. So
Absolutely.
Hey,
Absolutely.
Mark, I got a quick question for Mark about you. Do you mind if I ask how much you weigh?
I'm 173.
Okay, so I'm 150 and I fly the 23 Colorado. So how do you feel? Are you like you got a lot of extra speed with the you said 21?
Yeah, I got a 21 that I'm flying, and actually I'm flying this with the top 80. So even getting off the ground isn't too much of a problem. I had a Parajet, the bigger engine, the 180, the XT180, if anyone remembers that engine. And that thing got me off the ground super, super quick. But it takes a little more running to get off the ground with the 21. But I don't find it especially, overly fast where it's, hard to come in for landings or anything like that.
Someone was asking in the chat about if it was better to be in the mid range or slightly heavier, slightly, what range was the best to be in? I'm sorry, I don't remember who it was in the chat. That's why I was asking about that too.
Oh, yeah.
I think Will's getting ready to go buy a smaller wing, aren't you, Will?
Yeah, I think I can get by with the 21, but I'm gonna stick with my 23.
You fly a 23 Colorado?
Yeah.
That's what I fly. I fly the 23 Colorado. I weigh 200 pounds.
Really?
Yep.
So yeah, I'm light on that wing. I know I am.
Yeah, I like being heavy, because to me, we get some pretty rough air and it just tends to fly a lot smoother if you're a little heavy on it.
I like being heavy too.
For me, it's a safety factor.
I'm about
it just gives me a
105%
little bit
loaded.
more comfort.
Yeah, I
There you
don't
go.
think you'd have a problem flying at 21 at all. Not at 150 pounds.
Yeah.
I fly a 21 and I'm 220 pounds.
Well, it
You
is
fly
better to be a
21,
little, it
Yeah.
is a little better to be a little heavier than it is to be too light.
Right.
If you're too light, what's going to happen is the wind is going to blow 5 to 6 miles an hour and you're going to be paraparked. And then you're going to run out of gas, and then you're going to say, I think I can make it all the way down to the field. And you're focused on just that spot of the field. Hey, look, there's a row of corn. I'm coming pretty low.
You start flying backwards.
All this talk about being light or heavy on our wings, maybe we should all say what percentage we're loaded on our wing if we know it. I'm 102% loaded on my 26 Spider. I'm about 210 pounds. It's a 26-meter wing for the Moster 185. Add a retractor trike, that's 21 pounds more. And you do the math. I think the max loading on that wing is 140 kilograms. So it puts me a little over 100% loaded. It sounds like some of you, JP, maybe some others might be even higher than that. I know people that fly in the 120 to 130%. So do y'all know where you're at?
Well, that's the thing too. with where you're at. Okay. If you're heavy on a wing, that means that you're less susceptible to have a collapse or an issue. But if you do, it's going to be more violent. If you're on a bigger wing and you're a lighter individual, you know, you're going to have more flips with the tips. You're going to have more likelihoods of collapse, and it might not correct itself if it's an ENA wing or whatnot. It may not correct itself like it typically would because you're light on that wing. You know, it's kind of like
pretty benign.
That's a
yes,
really
but
good
it will be
question.
benign.
Well, you also
How
got to
many
remember
people-
too that on your wings, there are the standard weight, and then there's the advanced weight. So there's actually an advanced weight on most wings. So if you are over 100% on your wing, that could be an advanced weight that goes up to a certain point. So even though you might be 110% of that wing, you still are within that advanced weight that's on your ratings for that particular wing. So make sure you look at your wing manual.
So
I know Andrew has to go soon. So anything that you want to chat about, Mr. Andrew, before you got to go?
well, actually, what time is it right now?
It's almost 8 o'clock, my time.
I got a few minutes, but I got a question about sizing up a hybrid wing. So I want to go with a hybrid wing. That way I can, do some foot launches off of a mountain in the meantime before I get a motor. So if I got a hybrid wing and I was on the lighter side of that without the motor, and then later on I fly with the motor, adding an extra, 50 pounds or whatever it would be on top of my weight, I weigh 165. How would I size that up? Because that's a pretty major difference in weight depending on what I'm doing,
That's something that you and I would, look at the different wings that are available and then try to figure
Right.
out, what your weight is and your all up weight and what your motor is going to be when you get your motor. So a lot of things that you got to talk about, as far as like you're doing it for the motor wing and it's a hybrid wing, but you got to remember too, when you put that motor on, it's going to be a little bit higher. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the different wings and stuff like that, unless somebody else has something to say about a hybrid wing and motors.
I was just thinking if you're going to free flight, you're more likely to have a collapse than if you're flying PPG, just because you need the wind to get you up. So you're going to fly in some pretty gnarly stuff. So that's just something to consider when you get the wing. I wouldn't go below middle of the range, recommended range for your, jumping off a mountain. You want to have some weight under you.
So it's okay to be over the weight range, over 100% when I have my motor, but as long as without the motor, I'm not below that, 60% threshold.
I don't think
general,
anybody
yeah.
on this panel will sit here and tell you it's okay. What we can tell you is that it's no longer guaranteed under the manufacturer's ratings to be rated at that rating. So if you're overweight on your wing and that's an A-rated wing, it's no longer you're flying an unrated wing at that point. Do people do it safely? Yes. There's lots of people that fly outside of the weight range, and they have experience and they know it makes it more dynamic, and they know a lot more about it than I do. But just know that
There is an apparent danger to that as well, though. You have to think. If you go above the suggested limit of weight, and you are making it technically an uncertified glider, you have to worry about if you go into a maneuver that's going to be a high G, something's going to put stress on those lines. That could become an issue, and that could be a very scary thing, especially when one snaps, JP. That can be very significant. I believe in one of your videos you had an issue with I believe it was a brake line or it was a C line or something like that.
Stabilo. Yeah.
A stabilo line. Yeah, and it was quick, wasn't it? I mean, it just clap, and you're like, whoa, like toss laundry. I'm safe. Yeah, that was a scary moment, man. And I'm not trying to like single you out, but that is a good example of how fast things can happen. And if you're weighted more than what the recommended weight is, that could potentially be a thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah, there's a lot of different things. I got the Gin Vantage 3. It's It is a hybrid wing, so I could free fly with that, if I wanted to, and I can motor with it, and it's very, very lifty, and it's lifty for a reason. My wife just sent me this. If you give me one quick second, I'd like to share this with you guys. So 4 years ago, I was in St. Vincent's. I was on the ventilator. I had a open heart surgery and a complication with a stroke. I knew when I came to, I wasn't able to talk. I had a peg tube. I couldn't feed myself. And I was hungry for a hamburger, and I searched to look for a hamburger, and I found Tucker Gut, and he flew to McDonald's. So that's how I got into wanting to fly a paramotor. I knew I was going to get better, and when I got better, I'd be flying a paramotor. So I just thought I'd share that with you since my wife just sent that to me.
I think that video with flying to McDonald's is probably the first video of paramotors that most people have seen. Every time it comes up, someone brings up that video. That's actually the very first video I ever saw years ago. Oh, he just flew to McDonald's, and most people, yeah, they make it look easy and they're hooked.
I agree. How many people here on the panel, real quick, and everybody in the channel, super chat, how many people saw Tucker flying to McDonald's first? Raise your hand. That was mine. A couple people here. What was your first? If that was not your first, what was your first?
Can I go real quick?
Yeah.
Just because I had not seen the video, and I was in training. I was partnered with like a buddy, you know how they do sometimes in training. And the entire time we were training, he was asking the instructor, when we do our first flight, can we eat a hamburger up there? And I'm over here thinking, what the heck is this guy talking about? Because I had never seen the video. This was happening, like it came out right probably before training, and he kept bringing up eating a hamburger in the air. And I was like, what is wrong with this guy? I'm thinking the entire time during training. And I eventually, figured it out, put two and two together later on when I had seen the video afterwards, that's what he was trying to accomplish. And yeah. But
So how many people here have flown to McDonald's?
Sean flew to Sonic.
I flew to Sonic, yeah.
That's pretty equivalent. I made a peanut butter and jelly sandwich in the air once.
We do a couple really big trips to a local burger joint here in the country. So I think we did 3 trips last summer and breakfast one year.
That's
awesome. Pretty fun, isn't it?
Yeah, it was usually like 7 or 8 of us, so it's really makes it awesome.
And whenever you hear people talking about the McDonald's video, you're with your people.
Yeah.
And mine was, I got a smart TV. I saw John Baptiste Chandelier on the Outdoor TV channel a bunch of times doing his free flight stuff. I saw a couple of his videos, and finally I typed his name into YouTube. 1 or 2 of his videos played, and then it rolled over to Tucker. It was not the McDonald's video, though. It was the Hoover Dam video. And that's where it started for me. And then it wasn't much longer after that. I basically went to Aviator based on Tucker's recommendation. And the rest is history. No matter how good your training is, you can still screw up. So I only had 63 flights. I was at, what do you call it? Intermediate-itis or something like that, where you're like, you think you're starting to get good, but you're not.
Beginner,
I think
medium.
that's leg breaking syndrom.
So I picked 2 hay bales that are about that far apart, trying to fly between them. So, the sport is as safe as you make it. If you fly,
You're not fooling anybody, Brian. You're not fooling anybody, okay? I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to get the hay between your toes. All right, I get it.
Well, I was successful.
Yeah.
Hey, Brian, mine was the same. It was Jean Baptiste. I was watching all his videos. Just blown away by all of it. It was just so crazy. And then eventually Tucker came up, and Hoover Dam was one of my favorites as well.
I'm still there, though, man. I still want to do what John Baptiste Chandelier is doing. I haven't yet to do free flight. it's on my bucket list. You know, I want to go somewhere and fly along the coast and step from fence post to fence post like he does.
You know, I saw an interesting video on YouTube a while ago back that showed how many steps that it took. I don't know where we're getting feedback, but it's throwing me off a little bit. So, okay. Basically it was showing the retakes and retakes and retakes that he had to do to get that perfect for his videos. And it was phenomenal. I mean, it's so hard to put into words because it was like he would do it and it just wasn't good enough. Redo it again, redo it again, redo it again, redo it again until
What
it
are you
was
talking?
done.
What are you talking about?
John Baptiste Chandler's, when he was shooting video footage
Uh-huh.
for some of his videos, there was a video, I believe he had posted it, of like the outtakes of how many times he had to retry this certain maneuver or this certain thing he was doing at this spot. And it was just like, oh, he's got to do it again.
So you're talking about somebody doing a video about doing something. He had to do many different takes to get that perfect shot for YouTube.
No, this was actually John Baptiste Chandler doing what he does in his videos. But instead of it being like he just does it one time and that's it, and everything's just laid out perfectly, it was showing him the struggles that he went through to get to that point, to get it to where it looked
Not
like that, to
always
where it
as
looks
simple
smooth.
as it looks. Is
Exactly.
the point, right?
And
That,
he's a
even though
very
he's a
skilled
pro,
pilot.
Yeah, even though he's a pro, you know, you still got to get conditions just right, the camera just
Yeah.
the right spot, and the lighting just right, and everything else that goes with it.
And that was exactly it. It was certain times he would do the right thing and it would look beautiful, but the camera was in the wrong angle. And so you'd have to do it again and
Or you
reset
got
the
some
set.
dude like Brian Abel Waller in the background messing up with your B-roll or something like that, man. Sorry, Will. I know I was going back and looking at some of my videos, and Will sitting there video and trying to make a good video because he makes really good videos. And here comes Brian, rah, talking away. And I screwed up several of your videos. I was going back and watching stuff. Sorry, man.
That's all right, man. I got you back.
Hey, I made a bunch of your videos because of that too, so it's all good.
Yeah, man, you're the star. That's what's going on. Hey, I do have a question. And I went back. So we were talking about percentage of whatever where you fall in the range, and I just barely fall within I'm at the very low end of the range on the 23 meter. But here's my question. So if I go with the 21, I'll probably be weighted better on the wing. I'll probably be faster. But man, I'm getting some killer. I'm using like 2.5 liters per hour on the wing that I'm on now. And the 23 meter is all I've ever flown. So, I mean, that's pretty much what I'm used to. But I have trouble keeping up with the guys on cross countries, you know, who are weighted better on their wing. So, I don't know.
2.5 liters per
2.5 liters per hour.
What? That can't be right. On your Moster 185?
It is right. I just checked it again tonight on this flight. I flew for 1 hour exactly, and it was 2.5 liters. So could the wing be make that much of a difference on fuel efficiency?
That and your prop. What prop are you using? Helix?
No, I'm using a E-prop 130.
You're gentle on the throttle, Will. That's all I can say. You're gentle on the throttle.
That's exactly what I do. With my Moster 185, I only give at maximum half throttle. I don't have to give full throttle ever.
Dude, I burn like 7 liters an hour.
What? What now?
I burn like 7 to 8 liters an hour on the
What do you go up
21.
like 10 minutes at a time, or? Dang, man.
Well, he flies heavier.
You're flying a 21.
Yeah, so 100%. I think the wing loading plays a huge part in your fuel efficiency. So
Well,
And how you fly.
bottom end of my wing.
And trim settings.
I'm on the bottom end of my wing, and I get 4.6 liters per hour.
I went from
know.
about
Yeah.
4 to 4.5 liters an hour on my Mojo, flying very conservatively, to a Spider flying like a banshee, and now I'm burning 7 to 8 liters an hour.
See, I'm
I
not
hardly
very
ever-
educated. I don't speak in liters and kilograms and all that crap. I do gallons and pounds because that's the way I was raised. So I use a gallon and it lasts me an hour. I'm good with that, you know? So I think it's 4 liters to a gallon. Is that correct?
Right about
3.8.
yeah,
That's good.
Okay.
pretty close.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that the throttle plays a lot, your weight on your glider, the size of your glider, and the efficiency of your glider. I think that plays a and your prop, that plays a huge, huge, huge amount in how much gas you're going to burn. I like slow and floaty. I like floaty and boaty. I like to be up in the air and just enjoy the scenery and enjoy what I'm seeing. Yes, I'm the slowest guy out there when it comes to XC or, you know, guys flying together. They're usually circling me like a bunch of buzzards because I'm just sitting there floaty boaty. JP's seen it. You know,
John, that was
Go-
my point earlier when I
Oh,
said
man.
it's nice flying a slower wing because it's still enjoyable. You get to see all the scenery. You're not buzzing by it real quick. So
Yep.
it's got its place too.
Hey,
Hey,
real quick,
Will.
let me grab a screenshot, guys. Well,
Yes.
we're all here and
Our 100th episode.
Oh yeah.
Excellent. One, 2, 3. Perfect.
All right, good deal.
Hey, Will, did you ever fly a Charger or have you always been on the Colorado?
No, I started out on the Charger.
How did they compare?
I love the Colorado because, you know, with the 2D steering, and the Charger for me was harder to land, but easier to launch. And when I switched over to the Colorado, it was reversed just a little bit. Now, that could also be because it was slightly different, you know, and there were some anomalies there that I wasn't quite used to. But I absolutely love my Colorado.
How did the speed compare?
The Colorado was a bit more zippier. Felt a little, it was definitely a lot more responsive, you know, but the 2D steering made it a lot
I have
snappier.
2D steering on my Charger.
Yeah, well, you got the Charger, what, 2?
No.
You got the regular Charger, so you have it tied in?
Yeah, it's I just have it stowed right now. Like I can put it with the brake, but I currently just have it stowed in the. I've never used it.
Ooh, this reminds me, something to keep in mind. I just saw on the Facebook thing, a guy was flying low, only using tip steer down low, and he had some huge oscillations that he could not correct with tip steer in time. Just to keep in mind, everybody listening and stuff, tip steer is not, not something you want to use when you're flying down low because it doesn't give you the control that your main brake toggles do.
Was he on speed bar?
No, I don't think so.
Total takeaway from that is don't do maneuvers low to the ground.
Amen.
Yeah, I think he took a tight turn from upwind to downwind, and his wing surged, and he couldn't save the surge because that's not what your tip steer toggles do. They don't control the pendulum like that, and he was too low. The wing dove, and he hit the ground hard. There was a GoFundMe for him on the Facebook group. So,
And that's a very big no-no. You know, flying low downwind. Do not do it ever. Do not. No good can come of it. Even okay, you might get lucky once or twice. You might get away with it. Sure, you might make it look really good. But flying downwind low, it can create a problem that quick. You know, be
Guys,
it motor out, anything.
Sean, does tip steering actually make the wing drop harder or less than your brakes?
It would.
you mean drop or
Well,
steer?
really, if
I
you're
would say
flying,
less.
I would
if
say
you're flying
less.
less, yeah,
Yes.
okay. I
I
can
would
see
say
that.
less, but your
I would say
control
less.
is a lot. You're able to
Yeah,
pendulum a little easier, but it's not depending on what you're doing with your brake as well. If you're using your brake or if you're just using your tip steering, period.
okay.
I wouldn't suggest doing anything low with your tip
Oh.
steering or even just being, there's a limit. Like, for example, if you listen to acro pilots that are very, very, very experienced, guys that have been around for ages, eons, years, what have you, they'll all tell you, listen, when you're on, you have to be on your game when you're
Yeah.
doing these maneuvers, when you're doing things. When you see a video and you see guys doing things down low, they've been around a lot longer than you could think. You know what I'm saying? Like, you see them on YouTube and you're like, oh wow, he's doing that acro maneuver at what, 500 feet. Guys that are very good at acro, that have been around acro for a very long time, they have a threshold where this is my cutoff limit, 1,500 feet, no lower than that. If I'm at 1,800 feet, I don't do any acro. I have to be above 3,000 feet or 5,000 feet before I even consider doing anything substantial with my wing.
Here's a quick question. If you're doing acro, are you doing it with a reserve? And who flies with the reserve? Anybody in the area right here? Did anybody fly with the reserve or not fly
JP
with the
does.
reserve? I fly with the reserve. Anybody else?
Sometimes I fly with two.
In the chat, how many people fly with the reserve? I got a steerable reserve. What kind of reserve do you guys have?
I don't. I've
No
flown
res-
without a reserve for years.
No
But
reserve
then
for
again,
Sean?
I don't do acro. I
Exactly.
don't fly in turbulent conditions. I watch the weather. Yeah, I'm very particular about it.
Anybody else on the
but I-
panel fly with the reserve?
I fly with one. I was
Okay.
mad they wouldn't let me fly with one during training, and because that was their gear. But the very first time I flew with my own gear, I had a reserve from then on.
And you
I
fly with
rarely
the-
fly above 500 feet, where you're supposed to be above that altitude to deploy it. But it gives me peace of mind.
But it's a round reserve.
Yep, non-steerable.
Okay, I got a steerable. You got a non-steerable. Cole, do you fly with the reserve?
No, I never have.
Will fly?
My reserve's still in my car.
Okay. Mark droids?
Yeah, I've got a Angel Square.
Okay. JP?
Yeah, round square. I have a round square.
You have
Do you want, do you
what,
want,
a round square?
Yeah, it's a square with like rounded corners. It's a hybrid. That's what they call it.
It's a real thing. Okay, all right.
The real thing. Yeah, hybrid.
How many of the people that have just said yes and fly with the reserve has actually thrown one?
JP is the only person I know that flew, that
Yeah,
actually thrown one.
Yeah.
Because in an emergency, I've thrown one at a clinic. Anybody else ever thrown one at a clinic or in real life?
No, I had
That
one.
should be.
Oh, go
This should
ahead.
be like a badge or a cookie. You get a badge or a cookie for throwing the laundry. I mean, that really, I mean,
Got a
one, it
bill.
says you're brave. One, it says you're brave.
I got a
Number
bill
two,
from the
it says you
repacker.
survived it. Yeah, right. Well, you got the receipt to prove it. See, I mean, that's a winning in and of itself.
You're still here though, JP. It
Yeah,
cost you,
Jake.
but you're still here, man.
So
Hey,
JP for
Sean.
all,
Sorry to interrupt, but I gotta get back to work. Good
All right,
talking
bud.
to y'all. Hey, happy 100th episode.
thank you, Andrew.
Hey,
Have a good
Andrew.
one, buddy.
Here,
Y'all
Andrew.
fly
Good
safe.
luck,
Take
brother.
care.
Thanks, man.
Merry Christmas.
Jump on here anytime you want.
Good night, man.
Later.
I was going to say that I had one almost deploy on me. When I was on the ground, I went through my pre-checks, checked everything was tight. When I got up in the air, once I get in the air, I always make sure my risers are there, everything's good. And I looked down at my reserve and I noticed that part of the handle that hooks in was actually open and the bag started opening a little bit. So I landed out right away. And luckily, I was able to notice that and fix it. But the weird thing is I checked that right before I left and it was it was intact. It was fine.
I wonder if one of your
If I could think
lines
of-
caught it on inflation or something.
No, I think it was my throttle cable.
Ah,
kinda
yeah.
brushed up on it because it's side mounted, and I think
Uh-huh.
that might have popped it out. But I
And,
That's-
and that's the thing too. You know, a lot of guys with the training and such, and they don't want new students to fly with reserves. That's the reason why, is because there are numerous things that can happen that are out of everyone's control, and all it takes is at one time for it to inflate, or something to pull the wrong way, and it's open, and now it's getting sucked into the prop, and now you got all kinds of spaghettiness going on.
You never know.
And-
The,
I've seen that happen to someone on launch. Where the
Yeah.
reserves.
Mark, so you have your throttle on the same size that you throw your chute, is that correct?
Yeah, I do for now. I keep kicking around the idea to put it on my throttle on the left side, but I've never actually done that. I'm a right-handed, so in my mind, I'm thinking it might be trouble, but everyone says that you get used to it after a few flights.
Do it, and it leaves your right hand available to take selfies.
Yeah.
So, it's the real reason why we all fly.
Exactly.
You know, I
ever go-
totally get where Mark's coming from, because I'm right-handed and I use my throttle on my right hand. I don't mind it. I'm used to using my left hand for things too, but I don't fly with a reserve. But if I did, I would put it on my left side, just because this hand, I like to have full control and function, and motor control and function is all with my right hand. So if I need to blip that throttle a little bit, I have that control. Whereas with this hand, it might be a second delayed, maybe a quarter second. Those seconds sometimes add up,
Yep.
Why not have a mount right here? That it's a flight deck and a reserve that you can.
I had that, Sean.
Yeah?
On my Parajet that I flew, I actually mounted it in front, and I actually liked that. It was kind of a pain to put on every time you got into your harness. You had to put it in afterwards. But I always kind of liked that, because regardless where gravity is pulling you, you might not be able to reach to your side, but I always felt comfortable that when my reserve was in front, that I'd be able to reach it somehow if I needed it.
And it's also good too, because if you decide that you want to jump off a mountain, now you can put on your free flight harness. It's like you want to try, your friend's motor. You can put it on your friend's motor. You can. It's very versatile. You can take it.
It
and
also
put
gives
it
you a
anywhere.
panel to put other things. If you
Exactly.
have a reserve there. I mean, I know Brooke Sheffield's got a Velcro panel there. He puts radios and other things too. So
Absolutely.
yeah, good stuff.
Hey JP, would you be willing to share your toss your laundry story?
Yeah, I can do that.
Please.
It happened relatively early in my flying career, I think around 30, 40 hours. I was doing what I considered at the time to be heavy acro, which was really just tight turns, just like a little a shallow spiral, like not even putting my wingtip on the horizon.
Right.
But because I considered it to be dicey, I took it up to 3,000 feet, just like we talked about. I started it at 3,000, and then at I don't know, a few spirals down later, I felt the whole rig kind of jolt, and I wasn't going right, and then it jolted, and then it threw me into like a left barrel roll, which I was on an A wing, which she doesn't barrel roll, but it did that time. One of the lines snapped, and it threw me into a left-hand spiral, and I'm pulling opposite brake and trying everything, playing with the trimmers, you name it, nothing will pull me out of that spiral. And luckily I had telemetry on my phone, Fly Sky High, and I'm able to go back and look that I threw at just about 1,000 feet, and the G's, I barely chucked it, but the G's from me spinning like launched it out sideways, and it opened fast, so fast that it ripped the tether from my phone. I ended up dropping my phone in a cornfield from 1,000 feet, and I was able to go back and find it later on, but find my iPhone, which was awesome. But yeah, that's why I'm big on reserves, because in the grand scheme of things, I wasn't really doing anything that dicey. It was equipment failure, and could have happened to anyone at any time. And it's it goes to back to pre-flights, how important pre-flights are. I don't know if that line had possibly been nicked. I think it probably had to have been. To have a complete line failure like that it doesn't happen. So I don't know how it did. Who knows? But I'm here now. This is something we went over in training, what to do, what to recognize, not to wait too long. But there's things you can try in the air if you got time. I did that. I had time. I tried what I could. And then I recognized when I was running out of time and knew when to say enough's enough. And that's when I threw it. And I hated to do it. It felt like the worst thing in the world at the time, just because of that stigma that kind of like I failed or, did something wrong. But
AP, how hard did you hit the ground when you came in? Was it just a little harder than normal, or was it substantially harder?
they say the sink rate for that parachute is like 5.5 meters per second. It didn't feel that hard. I landed in a cornfield, so I don't know if the corn helped cushion it a little bit. I can't imagine it would have been much because corn is planted, relatively far apart. I would have only hit, 2 or 3 stalks if you think about it.
Maybe it was soft. Maybe it was soft.
I think the
dirt.
ground was pretty soft too. The dirt was soft, which probably.
So
played
you
a big
didn't have
part
any
into it.
injuries?
0 injuries, not a scratch on me. I did when you're coming down under reserve, like you're lean back, way back. So I tried to stand it up, but I couldn't because of the angle that you're leaning. And I did bend my frame just a little bit, but I was able to bend it back. No problem. A few days later, after I calmed down, the biggest thing was the tangled mess of my glider and reserve, all together. And there's, ears of corn in my gear. I'm finding, a couple days later on, the husk is everywhere. Getting out of the corn was pretty difficult. Luckily I wasn't too deep in it, but climbing out of the corn with your motor on you, it's 4 feet wide, you're just making a trail. And I felt so bad for that farmer.
And getting your glider out of the corn.
Yeah.
That is, yeah.
Some guy pulled off the road. He saw me go down, pulled off the road, and he comes in the corn and helped me get it out. He pulls out this like 12-inch knife, and he's like, "You want me to cut you loose?" And I was like, no, we don't need, not necessary.
No, cut the stalks, not my lines.
Yeah. I just see dollar signs when he pulls.
Did he say that's not a knife? This is a knife.
That's not a knife. That's a knife. Yeah.
He was probably the farmer.
But
Yeah, right.
that's that's like something that Angela's saying is using a reserve shameful. It's safety. No, it's not shameful. As a matter of fact, it should be worn like a badge of honor. They should make a T-shirt that says "I tossed the laundry." Because you lived, and that has something to say with the threshold, JP. You weren't doing like any severe acro. You weren't really doing anything extraneous or dangerous, like for the most part, but you kept it at a level where it could be controlled. You had it at a level where you were able to toss your laundry, you were able to safely land, you were able to get out of that area and out of that dangerous situation. Had you have been lower, you would have had less seconds, and there would have probably been more injuries, if not worse, just from the sheer velocity that you were dropping.
I think the takeaway on this one is he had a mechanical failure. He was just, if he wasn't doing anything other than just flying straight, it's very possible that could have happened to happen to him. So here he is just flying around, having a good time, and all of a sudden he has a mechanical failure. If he did not have reserve, we may not have been able to talk with him tonight.
Yeah, I would have, I think at least I would have been, had a couple broken legs, maybe been paralyzed, because I was going down quick. It wasn't like a free fall or anything, but it was a deep spiral that I was locked in, and which they say is kind of a thing A-wings are notorious for, is if you get it into a deep spiral, it tends to lock
JP, I remember your incident well. And what surprised me was the fact that the line broke. Now,
That's what I said. Yeah, that's why I
Yeah.
think it had to have been damaged in some way.
I mean, everyone else on the panel would agree with me. I haven't heard of any other lines breaking, but you guys play with it all the time. You may have heard of it, but you did say that possibly, previously that the line may have gone through the prop. So you don't know,
Mhm.
you didn't check it. But do you think perhaps that's what the problem was?
I think it's very likely that it had gotten nicked. Yeah, and the sheathing was probably damaged. The thing
Yeah.
about these lines is any one of our lines are pretty much capable of supporting our entire body weight. So the
Yeah.
fact that there's 30 of them, they shouldn't be breaking. So I think 100% it would have had to have been, I don't know,
Yeah, I
if
think
it would
it's
have done some gear or
The full
like Sean
professional
said.
But
It's
a
a
question,
mechanical failure.
but a question there though, on that wing, were you heavily weighted on it?
no, it was a 28A wing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay.
Paramotor.
What wing was it and how
Sean?
old was it?
Sean, it's your Pegasus that it happened on, your blue Pegasus.
Yeah.
28 meters,
was-
same wing.
Was that
Well,
a-
it wasn't my specific wing. It was like my wing, the same
Yes.
color.
Yes. Oh, actually, it was a
Nice
30
wing.
meter. It was a 30
was it a
meter.
new wing, JP?
No, it was like a loaner wing from the school I was training at. So hours unknown, which
Cole had a question. Cole.
Yeah, I just was curious what wing it was, and you just answered that and how old it was.
Yeah, Pegasus 2. Probably only within 6 months old. Probably less than 100 hours. I would assume.
Where did the line break, JP?
At the important spot.
Yeah.
Was it at a malleon? Was it in the middle of the line? Was it
No,
at
it was probably maybe 6 feet from the carabiner, somewhere like that.
Oh,
so mid line basically it snapped.
Probably about propeller length away.
yeah. I was just going to say that.
So you said it was 6 months old, but I thought you just said it was from a flight school or something.
Right. Well, it was their
Previous.
loaner wing. Yeah. So I don't
Right.
know how long it had been in the cycle for their
Gotcha.
students. You know what I mean? So that's just kind of a guess.
Yeah, because there could have been like a knot in there that broke it or something. I mean,
Yeah,
God, there's
knots make the strings, the lines weaker.
yeah.
Oddly enough.
Larry, if you're talking to us, you're on mute, buddy. Larry, you're on mute. I see your mouth moving. I don't know if you're talking to us or talking to somebody else. So I see Larry talking. I don't know if he's talking to somebody else.
Yeah, I found too. I don't know.
Here we go.
Okay.
Sorry about that. I had a question for you. After the wing, you had the incident. Thank God you're okay, by the way. Did anyone check the rest of the wing and see were the other lines still in spec, or were the lines bad, or did anyone, or whatever
I'm not
happened to the
really
wing? Did it?
I'm not really sure what happened after that because I returned it to
Okay.
the school. I would assume he replaced the line and put it back in to use because I didn't hear anything else about it after the fact.
Yeah, it would have been
honestly,
interesting to hear.
I think it was a loaner to the school from
Okay.
Jen, to be honest with you. So he probably just sent it back to his dealer, his Jen dealer for this region of the states. I don't know what they did with it, to be honest with you. I would
It'd
hope
be
someone
interesting to
went
see if
through
those
it.
other lines were in spec, or if that was, like you said, was
Yeah.
it one next line, or were,
Right.
I've heard some gliders lately have had problems. I don't know if it's from the pandemic where they've, I forgot who I was talking to. Was it Brooke Sheffield? Someone had a glider that was a year old and the lines were breaking already.
Oh,
And
the
they weren't
webbing.
doing it. Yeah, was it the webbing? I thought it was
I saw
lines.
something on the Facebook
I
page
heard that
about
story too.
webbing on a carve, a gin carve.
Okay.
But it turned out that the trimmers were routed wrong in a way that
Oh.
put stress on the webbing unnecessarily. Chris Santa Croce chimed in on that thread.
Okay.
And I think Jen replaced the risers at no cost. And then Chris said, hey, you know, your trimmer's supposed to go around this, not like that. And
Okay, that's what
I
that
think
was. Thanks.
that was that, yeah.
Okay.
A lot of guys were chiming in on that thread saying that they needed to replace the whole wing, and
Yeah.
but I think that was before Chris chimed in on with the information, and that just goes to show, read your instruction manual. You know, it's
Sure.
it's when you get a new wing, it's extremely important. Also, stuff about, you know, or can you use brakes on bar? Can you use brakes at different positions with your trimmers? You know, how to use the speed bar safely. There's so many different things that differ from wing to wing. So I'm very firm in reading the manual, even though, you know, it's something that we all, you know, after a couple hundred hours, you kind of take for granted. A wing's a wing, but never hurts to be over informed.
Pre-flight is
A
very
manual. What's that? A manual? I bought 2 brand new wings now, and I haven't got the first manual yet.
Now you get a thumb drive, right?
I didn't even get a thumb drive.
You can get a thumb drive?
I think there's a piece of paper with a link or something like that. I mean,
yeah, it's super goofy. You spend $4,000 and they can't send you a little booklet.
I know, right?
Sometimes you can go to their website and download the manual.
That's what I
to the
do.
Website.
That's what I do.
I know.
I read them all the time.
Yeah. Slow Days in the chat said, I got 5 lines replaced tonight after a prop strike. Mad Sloper said laser line inspections are $275.
Don, did you replace your own lines? Or you just send it out?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I ended up not replacing them and just letting that wing be part of my school. So the kids get to mess with it and play with it and tear it up, and I don't care. I mean, it would have been $700 to replace all the lines and have it inspected. I personally, when it comes to the lines, I know that if you tie the lines wrong, it could be like 30% less strength if you tie the line wrong. And when it comes to this thing, this bed sheet with strings coming down that's holding me safe in the sky, I trust the professionals. I'll replace a brake line because that's not really bad. And I can reach back and grab D's and land if I need to. But, you know, when it comes to the A lines, you know, and B lines, so that's what's holding all of your weight basically, especially if you let your trims out and push your speed bar. I want the professionals to touch my lines. I don't want to touch it. It scares the crap out of me. They found out, remember that paraglider that we lost out in the desert? They found out after inspecting his glider that he repaired one of the lines, and it was tied wrong, so it snapped when he got in cloud suck, or when he came down and it opened back up and it snapped that line. That's one of the reasons why I'll never do my own lines. I'll have it sent out for $175 a year, and they can replace it for $20 a line. That's my life. I don't know. It's like JP's thing, you know. It's like one line snapped, and you know something horrible could happen. So, who replaces their own lines and who has it sent out? I always have mine sent out. Anybody
I
replace
replace my own lines. I always have.
Yeah, same here. I do mine.
Okay.
I've replaced a
mine.
friend's lines. I've helped a friend replace a line before, and it's very, you want to be meticulous about it.
Yes.
You know, you don't, it needs to be exactly as you took the other one off. And if it's not, then it's not right. You need to have it right.
I fly Mac Para wings, and they always have really good line schematics. So it's really easy to make sure that you're ordering the correct line and the way you put them on.
And that's the thing too, with the manuals, with those manuals that you can get on the websites and such, they have those schematics specifically so you can get down to the bottom of, I need this, I don't need that, and I don't need that, you
Right.
know?
But
like
what-
John said, it's really important that you put it on the same way that the old one came off. I think one of the more challenging thing is with all the lines hanging around, your wings probably, hanging or something like that, is to make sure you don't interweave the line through another line that it shouldn't be going through. So to
Exactly.
Sean's point, it's really important you put it on the way you took the other one off.
It's
But
it's an
once you
advanced
do
skill.
once you do it a couple times, it's really simple.
And
Right,
with
it's
some
advanced.
wings, it can be kind of finicky and funky because there are extra lines that may not be on a typical glider, like say single skins. Some single skins have an additional line that goes from the brake to the tips that after
Right.
so far you pull, then it affects, the actual brake. And if you pull so much, it's like tips and then tips and brake, with those systems, sometimes you have a line that comes up, and you can have a line wrapped on the inside. One line will be on the outside, one line will be on the inside, and you'll be like, man, that doesn't look right, but it feels okay, but it's not right. It
And it's
should
very
be
possible that those lines could rub and start sawing themselves in the middle of a flight
exactly.
too.
And it could be as simple as you bought a wing from a friend, or you bought a glider and you think that everything's set good. It's not an old wing, it's not a new wing, it's been flown, blah blah blah. You get it out, you kite it, you ground handle it, and everything works fine. But you notice this one thing that's really driving you nuts, and the fact that this one brake line has a twist. Well, that brake line had been replaced, and maybe you didn't know about it, and maybe whoever replaced that line put it on differently than the way it came off.
And you got to watch out too when it comes to brake lines, because some people will shorten the brake lines, but if you let the trims all the way out and you push speed bar, now those lines are going to start pulling on your wing and collapse as soon as you start pushing your speed bar, because they're not set to the exact standard. So you got to be really, really careful.
I haven't had to replace any lines yet. I've only clipped 3 with my prop, and when I tied them in a knot and put them back together, it flew just fine.
Well,
That's a joke.
thing, too.
Everybody that's listening, that's a joke. That's a joke. I have
That's like
seen
with
wings
kiting.
with lines tied in knots. So
That's like
yeah.
actual kiting, with actual kiting line, they use dynamia. They also use spectrum lines. And in the kiting world of kites, it's known that where it's not the knot where the string is the weakest, it's just at the knot,
Yeah.
right where that knot sits. That's where it's at its weakest on both points. And that is where the weakest link of that line is. So
That's why
I
they
would
have the
suggest
millions.
anybody.
That's why they have the millions of the way they have them, that rubber thing that goes around it. I mean, it's all set there to make sure that you are safe. And when you're flying up there, you don't want any of those lines to snap. I can't even imagine being in JP Tulo's seat when that happened.
I can imagine probably pretty smelly. All that spinning and stuff. I don't know. Like I
It
said,
terrified me to fly under a bed sheet with a bunch of strings, man. When I went to training, I was like, am I really going to be comfortable? Because I flew with my dad in fixed wing. We had a little bit more robust systems holding us up. And I was just not sure I was going to be comfortable with it. I got a background in engineering. And when I found out that the bigger part of every one of those riser lines, the A, B's, and C's, will hold 1,000 pounds, I'm like, okay, yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
I saw videos. There's like 4 people hanging from one line, and I was like, okay, yeah, we're good now.
When they failed my Roadster 3, I used it for like 200 or 300 hours that first year. When I sent it in, they failed the line. So what they do is they take one of the A lines and they put it on the machine and they pull it, and they know when it breaks how much pressure was exerted on it. And mine failed because it went under 300 or 400 pounds for that one line. So it was only able to hold 400 pounds. So if you think about it, that's still a lot of weight that that thing could hold. And
What was
they
it
just,
supposed to fill at? Do you know?
6 or 8. That's the one that I did a lot of acro, and I really pushed my limits with it. And that's something too. I bought that brand new in 2019. At the end of the year, it failed. So you can get a brand new from a used wing from somebody that's still crispy, still has the box, still has everything's still nicely packaged with it. But you go out and fly it and you try to do something a little bit heavier, a little bit more heavier acro, you could snap a line and be in a situation like JP Tulo. I always will recommend get yourself training, get yourself a brand new wing, get it inspected yearly or the amount of hours that it says to get it inspected, and always carry a reserve.
All right. So the number one tip coming from the 100th anniversary show. Here it is. Don't buy your used wing from an acro pilot.
That's true.
Yep.
That's true.
Hey,
Or somebody
Sean,
that is very heavy with a trike.
Sean, I like the clip. I think you put it out, or someone did. I'm sure everyone's seen it by now. Is the manufacturing of the ripstock from the late 1929 or something when they started, and the manufacturers, the technology that they've put into that material. Great vlog. If no one's seen it, pull it up.
That is a good one. I just saw that.
Yeah, and when you see that and you see what goes into manufacturing the material, the start of our wings, it's a great insurance for technology where it's come so far. On the other hand, Sean, I'd like to congratulate you on show 100. It seems only yesterday. It makes me feel older to know it's 2 years ago. But to all the panel, thank you guys, Sean, for putting on the platform. Here in Australia, we have nothing like it. And so, congratulations, sir.
Well, thank you very much, Walter.
Yeah.
Thank you,
And
Walter.
one more thing, if add another legend is Will Fly. The last one you did with Mr. Rochetta and the Para family. What can I say? You had me in tears, mate. I just love everybody, and putting that together, sir, before Christmas. I'd like to congratulate you, Will Fly, because you're a legend.
Oh, thank you, Walter.
And at 2.5, and at
Oh,
2.5.
wow. Oh, wow. You call him a legend? Oh, gosh, here we go. Facebook. It's going to blow up now.
An hour on fuel burn. I'll get back to that, Will, because I say your flying pattern would be just straight and level, which there's your economy. The other guys that are on 7-8 litres, they're just heavy-footed up and down, I can imagine. And there's your fuel. And Mr. Waller.
That's me.
Yeah, and I think Will, come from the 80cc, correct me if I'm wrong, Will, but I'd say you'd be very light on that throttle going up and in your cruise mode. And I say your level flying, I don't see you doing a lot of up and down, which to me, that's where your fuel burn is. I know myself with my PPC, I burn 18 litres an hour, and that's climbing up and down and, mucking around. But if you fly level, your fuel economy comes a lot further back. And to achieve 2.5 litres, sir, congratulations. And I say to everyone else, try and do it.
Yeah. Well, I brought that topic up a few shows back when I first got the Moster. I don't know if you remember that. I was talking about how, is that normal for a Moster? But and thank you, Walter, for that. But I'm just a regular guy who loves to fly, and that's how I see myself. So, anyways, but Sean, the A line that you said they tested the A line, right?
Right. They test the A line, they break it, and then they replace it for free. They replace it as part of the $175 yearly inspection.
Okay, so they test the A line broke. So they just automatically assume all the other lines fail, or if the A line passes, they assume all the other lines pass. Is that kind of
I assume that's what it is. They also do the porosity test and they check everything else. They do a lot of stuff. I mean, it's just not, snap a line and go, okay, that's good. They go through everything, every cell, every inch of that thing. And if there's anything wrong, even a pinhole that you don't even know that there's a pinhole, they'll say, hey, you got a pinhole, we're going to patch it. It's only, $1.
Okay.
Or look, you got a big, 3-foot gash in your thing that's covering 3 different panels. It's going to cost you $20 and we'll repair all of it. So,
well, I guess that makes sense because the A line would take the most stress, right?
Yeah.
That's right. That's my thoughts too, Will, is basically the A's hold most of the load. So they're going to test the A's. If the A's pass, the rest of them are good. If the A's don't pass, well, maybe the rest of them aren't bad, but they probably assume they're all bad. You just need a line change.
Yeah.
Or the other lines behind it have to take up the slack that I don't know. I mean, but it does make sense.
If an A line goes, that's a frontal, and you better be able to toss your laundry. JP, I know that you got your hand up. You need to say something, bud?
Question in the chat from Clark's video. What do you guys think of how much of the 4,000? What does it actually cost to make a wing? Is what his question was. It costs 4,000, but if it costs 4,000, how much do you think it actually costs them to make it?
Probably about 1,500. Being on the accounting side, that's about what the margin would be. 1,500 for 4,000 wings.
Yeah, my wings are ozone. We buy it from Europe, but it's made in Vietnam, I think. So yeah, I mean, it's just like economies of scale. They don't make if they don't make a lot of them, they're going to be more expensive. But
right.
I think most of these are outsourced to countries where, textiles are.
Yeah, I'd say it depends, because if you really think about it and you break it down to each and every little level, I mean, those needles, after so many holes that you're poking in fabric, you're gonna have to replace that needle. You're gonna have to replace that thread. You're gonna have to replace, the workers, the hours.
It's on a big boat that's crossing the ocean. They have taxes and tariffs.
The R&D to design the wing
Probably
in the
paid a
first
lot
place.
for research and development too.
Yeah.
And people have to make money.
Yeah,
that's kind of like
I paid 4,000 for my wing. I know through other dealers that wing would have cost a dealer like 3,200. So I mean, everybody's making money along the way. People that transport it, probably it may cost them $1,000 to make that $4,000 wing, somewhere in there.
The top of the line ripstop is made in I think North or South Korea. And the other manufacturer is Germany, which most of the wing manufacturers, I believe, use that, and they go back to the German one, even though the other material is better. But a lot of the wings are made in Taiwan and places like that, and they do use this new, better type material that is made in Korea. Taiwan. And so a lot of the manufacturers are really tied to the tensile, the weavers, which make the material. So really, there's only 2 types of material that everyone uses, which is, the technology has come so far. The chutes really, apart from the image that we do, they don't really rip or anything like that. So it is the lines that hold us up. But yeah, like everyone says, one line would carry the weight of the whole vehicle.
Yeah, when it comes, and also let's go back to the cost of a wing. They buy in bulk, bulk lines, bulk, sheets of fabric, and they have huge facilities, that they're stringing these things up on. If you had $1,500, there's no way you could find the material and make a wing yourself with the amount of, what they're spending on one wing. And of course, like you said, they got to pay everybody all the way down the line to do it.
And they're playing, if it's certified, they have to pay for that certification. It's
And
not
that's
just
a
awarded to them.
Big part of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a big chunk.
Paramotor podcast, they had the guys on there. They had Dudek and they also had Ozone on there, and they explained the cost of that. It's $10,000-$15,000 a wing just to get the certification.
Yeah.
And we got people here from multiple countries. We got Australia, Canada, United States here. I think most of us are patriotic. We would like to buy something that is made in our country. I'm not flying anything made in my country.
Well, it probably costs $20,000 to make a wing.
No, I'm not saying I don't want to. I do want to. Just none of it's made here. There's none of the motors are made here. Vitarachi, there's a few frames made here in the U.S. I don't know of any wings. I think I heard of one. Super Dale.
You do gotta admit though, Brian, if you were to buy a Harley Davidson Paramotor, that would be pretty costly in just parts. I'm just saying, because it has Harley Davidson on it.
That's my example, man. I love motorcycles and I love crotch rockets, and there's not a good U.S. manufacturer of sport bikes. If there was, that's where I put my money if it was competitive, but there's not. So the things that we want in this sport are pretty much for all of us made in another country.
See, that's what we need to do. We need to hit JP up and be like, "Hey, JP, look, we need a Napa Auto Parts Paramotor." All right.
Dude, that's something
Napa
we
knows
hear
how.
all the time, though. We get guys coming in saying, I want to buy the parts that were made in America. And unfortunately, most of the parts, even the good ones, are not made in America. Everything is made overseas anymore. And it's just the industry. That's where the paradigm is shifting with.
Well, and that's the thing with the cheap. You could spend $200 and get a wallet, and it lasts you a lifetime. Or you could spend $20 1,000 times because you went to Walmart, the same wallet that everybody else has, made out of the same baloney leather that's fake. It just depends. What are you willing to spend?
Well, there
It's
you go.
unfortunate, but it's true.
There's market opportunity right there in the United States. If you can build a motor that is as good as other manufacturers for a competitive price, you can dominate the market in the United States. I'm sure somebody's tried.
But don't forget product liability. That's the reason a lot of the stuff is made overseas. They have different laws. They can bring a product here and they're not really governed by our laws as far as product liability. So they have a built-in advantage that way.
Yeah.
And also in the States, you guys have a lot of tariffs on things that if you wanted to bring in Canadian lumber or the Canadian metal or all these different things, it's tariff. And
Actually, California just made it illegal to have gas-powered lawnmowers and weed eaters and stuff. So
in my defense, I fly canned gook, Jim. Just saying.
Yeah, well, that's a frame, right? It's not a motor.
Yeah, that's true. Wow.
That's cool. Like, actually, this is a big problem at the moment, apparently, with the auto industry and where it's being shifted to supposed to be electric. Well, apparently, the majority of the parts for the auto industry are made here. And so, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Don't want to boast everybody, but the Italians have been good in small engines for their whole career in motorbikes, scooters, etc. And unfortunately, Americans, if you talk 500 cubic inch, they make some good engines up that end. Small engines, the European market, mainly Italy, is good on small motors. And
Austria, where Rotax is made.
Well, that's right. Any European country, and it's been because they've paid $2 plus a litre for 40 years. So a litre, that's $8 a gallon approximately, USAians. yeah. So that's you know, they've been good on little engines. What can I say? Whether it's go-karts, air flying machines, whatever. And unfortunately, petrol, everyone's got the idea that oil's going to finish, but I can't see it as long as my butt points to the ground. They'll never stop oil.
Well, you know
What's
what?
that
I'd
cool
love to
shirt you're
see.
wearing?
What's that, Will?
I was just asking Walter what that cool shirt he was wearing was.
Oh, Dragon Campers.
I recognize that.
Great shirt, very comfortable, feels rather nice, girls. And yeah, great company. I'd like to. I used to tow caravans for part of my life, Sean. So it's a dear logo to me with the caravan on the front.
It is pretty cool. Unfortunately, I think that he's going to stop doing that.
Yeah, look, I did it for many years. I actually trained people how to tow. A lot of people have no idea how to tow you guys call them tag-alongs, but over here they're called caravans. And some people got no idea even how to reverse. And it used to astound me, you know, how people travel all over our country and don't know how to reverse a caravan. And I'm thinking, like, you can't even put it into my park, let alone reverse up a street somewhere if you need to. Yeah, I've trained people to tow caravans and reverse and park and all that sort of stuff.
Well, hold on to that shirt because that's a classic now. It'll never be made again.
Yeah, my brother was involved in building caravans, and we built big units. And yeah, we had to teach people how to tow and you know, maneuver these things. And I got that part of it to do on training young people how to do it, and older people. And I quite enjoyed towing all over the country myself, and done a lot of towing. So Dragon Campers, great name, and there are people that do it here, same as your son, Sean. So
right, like I said, he's not going to do it, and I don't know what he's going to do with the .com and that shirt. They're not printing any more shirts, so that's a classic. Hold on to it because you know it's going to be worth $1 billion in a couple of years.
Thank you, and Brian.
But Brian Haybill, real quick, what do you know about the two-stroke motor ban in California? I know that everything that was there before is grandfathered in, but the new 2022 like motorbikes and stuff like that are not legal.
Yeah, the articles I read basically says they're going to ban new sales of these type of gear. So if you've already got it, then you can use it. It's my impression. But I don't live in California. I'm from Alabama. We have basically the opposite laws. So, but before we move on with talking about engines, we talked about different manufacturers. Honda Motor Company makes some great engines. They make some great motorcycles. I've had several of them over the years. I've considered what it'd be like to take in a motorcycle engine and make a paramotor out of it. And I just know that somebody somewhere high up in the past 15 years has approached Honda and talked to them about making a paramotor engine. And I mean, does anybody on this panel know anything about that? I know we had Noah Rachetta on here last week. We've had some other names, and I just wonder if there's somebody that we can reach out to talk to about get into manufacturing that.
I think it has been brought up, and I think that the response basically from these companies is that we don't feel that the investment would be profitable because the low amount, the turnover rate on cars all day long. People buy cars, they need cars. How many people need a paramotor? I mean, do you really need a paramotor? You can fly without a paramotor.
It comes back. Sorry, it comes back to that one cylinder again. Now, as a two-stroke, the horsepower, really what you can achieve out of that size cylinder, you won't achieve it in a four-stroke. In a four-stroke, basically, it's got to be twice the size. Hence,
That's what I heard.
it's the weight. You can make more power with a four-stroke, but you're going to be a bigger engine. It has to be almost double the size, produce the same horsepower. Getting back to two-strokes, we are banned here. I'm not sure about over there. You can't have a two-stroke marine engine anymore. If
In
you've
California.
got it, no, this is in Australia.
Oh,
You cannot buy a two-stroke marine engine anymore.
What about
It's the same way in the US. It's the
Can you
same
buy
way.
it used?
If you've got one, you can keep using it, but you cannot buy a new two-stroke engine.
So
no more.
you can't sell it then either. It sounds like.
Yeah, you could, you could, but if that engine needs to be replaced or parts, you probably won't be able to even get parts. So they force you to buy a four-stroke engine.
So Walter, what about a rotary engine? How do you think that would weight?
No, even though what's his name, Mr. In England makes the Parajet. They make a rotary engine, and it has been used in a
They used
Paramotor
that for the Everest flight, didn't they?
over 32,000.
Kilo, right?
Yeah. Oh no, what's his name?
Gilo.
Jolo. Yeah. He's invented a rotary, which is, and it has been used for paramotor quite successfully. Like I said, to 32,000 feet. It must have had fuel injection on it to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but as a rotary, as a real engine, rotaries need a lot of RPM. So therefore, because they don't make torque down low. They make horsepower, but it's all in RPM. So you'd need a lot of reduction
And fuel.
on gearbox or bring the engine speed back to your prop. Reduction.
Yeah, but I think like ultimately the reason why we don't have more motors available and such is because it's a niche. It's such a fine niche. How many pilots are there in North America total? Those that are documented and undocumented. There aren't that many. I mean, they're really, when you think about it, in these other countries where paragliding is predominant, like France, Spain,
worldwide, though, it'd be in the millions. You know what I mean?
Well, worldwide, yes, but what I'm meaning is from like a standpoint of manufacturing, though. One, you have to make a plant. Two, you have to be able to produce the product, and three, you have to be able to make the sales to be able to warrant that expense that you put into making all this stuff. That's where the problem really lies. Is am I going to make a profit off of this, or is it going to cost me money to make something?
Yeah, but if I could make an engine, let's say a four-stroke, and it could come in on the weight of, let's say, a Vitarazi, it'll never happen because it just can't be done. Really, the answer is electric. I hate to say it. When it comes to paramotor, the electric motor is the ultimate. The only thing is the battery.
100%. 100%. It's right around the corner.
100%.
I agree.
I cannot wait.
I'm a mechanical guy. I put an airplane engine on a bicycle when I was 12 years old. Mark my words, I am going to take a motorcycle engine that has 5-speed transmission, and I'm going to put it on a paramotor. And I'm going to be the first person. I'm going to be the first person you hear in the air going, Kawasaki. Mark my word.
I don't see why not.
Just ruin your sponsorship from Honda, then, Mr. Haybo.
Honda's only 3 syllables. Sorry, man. I gotta have more 3 gears.
Well, I think electric is, we are at the infancy of
Yeah.
where electric will go. Okay. Basically, I've seen this in the RC airplane industry when they went from the old school gassers, where they were using the nitrous gas to run their airplanes. Nitro, yeah, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah,
The fuel,
electric was
they
a
went from
joke when it
fuel
first came.
to electric, and then it was brushed motors, then it went to brushless. The second it went to brushless, that was when I was like, they're going to start making this stuff bigger, and when they do, oh, it's on. And they are. Now it's at its infancy stage, which means we're at the cusp of it. We really don't understand it completely because we haven't spent enough time playing with this crap yet. But it here pretty soon, I would say within the next 5 years, maybe 8, we'll have a lot more stuff readily available to us in the electric paramotor field, due to the technology and the tests being ran on the motors and such. I think it will be costly. I think that the batteries are going to be one of the major setbacks for all of us until we have better battery. I don't know the mechanics behind like, for example, lithium ion, lithium polymer batteries. They have now they have lithium carbon batteries. They've got a whole lot of newer technologies coming out that's going to be better altogether. But it's going to take time to get this out to the market.
It definitely work well on a trike. I mean, if you have a trike, you can add more batteries, you can fly longer.
Yep.
Well, that's the thing, with the more battery, the more weight. And that's what you really have to worry about is, sure, your battery will weigh. And this is the thing, when you have gas, you have a full tank of gas on your back, but by the time you land, it's probably about empty or
that's
close to empty.
5 gallons is like 30 pounds.
But now your battery, on an empty battery, it weighs just as much as it did full.
And I was very lucky. I was able to test flight an electric paramotor, and I normally fly a Moster 185, right? And this paramotor, the SP 140, I think it is, the open PPG, it had more power than my Moster 185. I mean, it took me. I cranked it, and I was like this, almost going straight up. I'm like, this is insane. I've never had that much power, even with the Moster 185. It kind of felt like a 200 plus, if it's actual cylinder size.
John, I'll get back to the batteries. Even the SP140 at $2,500 the battery. Now, if you look at the
1800,
whatever. Whatever the top price is, if you look at it now, the Tesla cars, which I'm sure the batteries that are in the SP140 would be equivalent, if not better than that.
To a Tesla?
Yes, the Tesla batteries, they use the same, the 2200s or whatever it is, the single unit battery.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he's gotten 10, 12 years out of his battery packs. Okay, and you can look it up, it's fact. The first cars are still going on the same battery. Now that unit in the SP140, let's say it does the same, okay? Even at $2,000, that's only $200 a year. If you could get that life out of that battery. The motor will last that long for sure, okay? Even if it does have a hiccup, but on general, it's only 3 moving parts. The controllers actually, Sean Nasker, is proven today. I can buy a unit that I can put on my PPC and get a controller to control it right now. You can buy whatever size motors, kilowatts, and mount it on whatever you want and do the same yourself if you wanted to. It's out there, it's available. So, really speaking, even the battery, the only thing, as you said, that weight is all the time, whether it's full or empty, you've got that weight on your back. So in the future, I believe those battery weights will come down by half, and there's issues solved.
Or
Now-
or you know, as
More
it
than
goes
likely.
empty, you flip over to the next one, and then you drop that one down with a parachute.
Yeah,
Well, more than likely, there are a lot of fail safes that have to be met too as measures. Like, for example, it's not suggested for one to fly in rain or through fog or through clouds. But if, say, you were in the air and your electric paramotor happened to get a splotch or two of maybe misty rainwater, or you happen to be near a cloud system that happens to be forming the moisture by that motor, and with flying the electric planes, and especially a little bit of mist, a little bit of moisture, you notice it has a little of a totted nature to it. And that is scary, because when you get moisture in that motor, and you don't have fail safes put into place, which there are fail safes for electric paramotors that are out there. And there's a ton of them, a ton of sensors and a tons of things of electronic wattage doodads, thingamajigs that make the doohickey go wah. But that's the thing that's kind of holding us all back, kind of, is that technology, that the time to test it, the time to set it up, and yes, it is out there, but it is not readily available at the moment. For, say, Will Fly wants to fly, Sean wants to fly, JP wants one, Cole wants one, Mark wants one, I want one, and Jim wants one. At the same day, we go order. Is it going to be ready? Most likely not.
That what you just said just came across like, okay, how about foot dragging? What happens if I had a motor out, went into the water? With a 2-stroke, you just dry it out and go again. Just change out the spark plug. With an electric paramotor, you drop into some water, and I think that'd probably be some serious damage.
Better have a fuse, or you're going to have a fire.
Fire
And
in
that's
the water.
another thing.
Mark actually started on fire.
And this is another dangerous situation that people aren't really addressing in thought either. Is, for example, you're laid out, you're ready to take off. Excellent. You get a nasty thwack, maybe perhaps you get a gust and you get plopped. All right, you're flying backwards, you land in a turtle, and the propeller breaks. And guess where that propeller goes? Right into the battery. Now you have a lithium fire that cannot be put out with water.
No, I seen the way that this one was done. There's no way that it could puncture the way they had it.
Well, that's one of the fail safes that I'm referring to then.
Yeah.
Because those things, if there aren't a fail safe in place, it would start a fire and be a very dangerous situation for anyone around or anything,
Exactly. So Cole, what were you saying about the fire, Cole?
Mark actually started on fire up in the air. He can tell you.
Yeah, I was about 1,000 feet AGL up in my starter battery, which was a LiPo. It was a brand new battery too, and I think it was rubbing on the frame, the vibrations or something like that is the only thing I could think of, and it shorted the cell out and it started on fire. And I looked behind me and I just saw billowing smoke, and then I started feeling my back getting warm. That's what prompted me to look behind me. So,
those lithium are a different form of pact and can be dangerous.
Yeah.
Well,
I can tell you it wasn't any fun being up there.
Yeah, and we talked about that. We talked about that on the podcast, right, Mark?
Yeah, show 54.
Yep. So go back to show 54.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, you were at about 1,000 feet, maybe less, and your friends were watching you on the ground, thought you were just spiraling down, having a good time.
Yeah.
And
that was
you were actually trying to get on the ground as quickly as you were coming out of your harness when you're coming in for your landing, right?
I was starting to unbuckle as I was coming close down. Yeah, because I wanted to get out of that thing as soon as possible.
Yeah,
I can feel the heat. It was melting my harness.
The video was taken like 5 minutes afterwards, and it showed the battery just smoking like mad.
That video was 20 minutes after, and it was still smoking. Yeah.
My instructor lost all of his equipment, all his school equipment, everything, due to one of those starter batteries.
Wow.
Burnt his trailer right down.
Fire scares me. It's not just batteries. I was at a training lately, and a guy sat too early on takeoff, and he slammed the bottom of the frame into the ground, broke the prop, and then the prop broke the tank, it cut through the fuel tank, and he stayed in the throttle. And you could see from the video, just spewed out this long line of fuel as he was continuing to try to climb. And, obviously he lost enough thrust to climb, and he didn't, and he just kind of just landed. But
Where's
yeah,
this
man.
video at?
Yeah, one little spark is coming out. One little spark in that situation. I mean, and that's a bad day.
Mhm.
I don't know. I've heard a lot of people sitting early and breaking props. I've never heard of a prop cutting a hole in the fuel tank in that process. So, it's pardon my language, but
Was
shit
it a
happens.
tank or was it a bladder?
It was a plastic fuel tank.
Wow.
Was
Yeah,
it
you think
Maverick?
it'd be kind of hard.
Would have
No.
needed a spark to ignite it. So lucky
Sure.
it didn't ignite, but the fuel would have been behind him, so hopefully he still would have been okay.
The
Hey,
the
don't-
hot
don't you
exhaust
have the-
pipe is enough to ignite it, wouldn't it be? I mean that pipe gets hot.
Spark. You need a spark. So the carbon going through plastic when it cut wouldn't have created a spark. Hence, if it was a metal tank, then it may have, but yeah.
What we're gonna say there, Will?
I was gonna say, Brian, don't you have a video coming out soon?
Yeah, I'm still waiting on a couple loose ends to tie up on that one. But I was flying at about 300 feet above this person when it happened, and you can see the spew that came out. And then also I've got now better ground footage of it when it happened. And so I mean, stuff happens. I mean, new students. Literally, this guy was being told, run, posture, power, don't sit, run, and he ran, and he wasn't going near fast enough, and he literally just jumped into his seat. And you thought for a second he was going to make it, but then he hit a terrace, and he just didn't have the lift. But stuff happens, and
terrace?
yeah, like a little hill in front of him,
Like a berm?
yeah, basically. So he almost made it, man. It was super close. Like that was his first flight, literally. But he had some damaged gear. He broke a prop, lost a tank, had to order some new gear. He is definitely not giving up on the sport, but it can be frustrating. No matter what you tell them as an instructor, you never know what that student's going to do on their first flight. You try to set them up as good as you can for success, but sometimes, stuff happens.
Well, and that's another thing too. Even after the training and everything. I mean, I'm sure we've all experienced that at one point or another. But your very first flight after training, after you're done with training, you're back home, you're in a new field, new area. You're familiar with your gear and stuff, but basically everything that you had it hammered down. You were good. You had the radio and everything. Now you're on your own, and you're just out there, and you're like, man, I hope I absorbed everything. And I hope I remember every single thing that I learned, because I don't want to make a mistake, But it's like it all goes right out the window for a second there, because now you're kind of second guessing yourself a little bit. Like, did I learn everything? Did I remember everything? Am I focusing on the right thing? We can hear you, JP.
Oh yeah, and JP, did you say that you got to go, buddy?
Yeah, I gotta go. Thanks, guys. Always a pleasure. It's been a great journey to be on with y'all, and yeah, I will catch you on the next show.
Thank you,
Thank you,
JP,
Matt,
buddy.
JP.
Appreciate
Thanks,
you.
guys.
Sean, I gotta jump out too. Just wanted to say congratulations to you, the whole panel who's there every week, and all the people in chat that make up the show. Congratulations to everyone.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. Appreciate you, buddy.
Guys, I gotta sign
Oh,
off as well. Thanks for the 100th show. It's
Awesome, Cole. We
outstanding.
appreciate you.
Never
Yep.
quit. Oh, I love your wing.
Thank you. Take care, everybody.
Cole.
Bye-bye.
Peace out. Fly safe.
And it
You're
is almost
welcome.
9.
Peace.
It is almost 9:30. So, I think it's time for all of us to go.
Yeah.
Any words of wisdom that anybody wants to say before we head on out, guys?
Fly in peace.
Absolutely.
Hey, Walter, I
Get
tried
off your-
messaging you on Facebook there, and I haven't been able to get in contact with you, so if you could.
I
that
haven't
would be
been,
great.
I haven't been on there long, Jim. I think I friended you from memory. So yeah, we'll have a chat one night.
Sounds good.
Good. Cheers.
Thanks for letting me connect with Walter, guys.
Hey, that's the words of wisdom. Hey, that's the episode 100 words of wisdom. Hey, let's connect with Walter down under. I love it. That's great.
I'd love to put a trip together, get you guys over here and let Australia see what you guys are about. It'd be great to put a little trip together and see some of the mid country here in South Australia and our north. Yeah, just something for the future, maybe 2024, put something together and a little bus trip for us all would be great. Little camping trip through the centre and a bit of flying over Ayers Rock, Uluru, or the lake up here, the inner lake that Brian Haybale would love to fly over. Inner ocean, and yeah, same. I've got to try and get there next year, but things are not easy, and yeah, price wise, money wise, it'd be hard for me. But we'll see what happens in the future for 2022, and I'd like to wish everyone, even though it's early, a Merry Christmas and let's hope a great 2022, because it sounds like some good numbers there, and hopefully it's good for us all.
I hope so too, buddy. I hope so too.
Yep.
Heck yeah. Merry Christmas to you
I
too,
gotta-
even though it's early.
Yeah, Mr. Working Amazon Man.
I'll be working Christmas too.
I was worried about that roof that fell in on that Amazon plant. I thought the bloke's just got working and now he's got fucking injured
Nice question.
Oh, man.
in another state.
Walter,
Yeah.
So,
thanks for the koala. Without you, being in
Yeah.
our world, I wouldn't have this
Yes.
place.
Yes, Linda, love you, love Robert,
I love
and everything he does. All you guys, everything you do. Brian Waller, you're on, and the Leahs, Shane, I know he's probably very upset at the moment. Yeah, give him a
we
bit
miss
of.
everybody, dude. Walter, we appreciate you, man.
Oh,
You are our regulars. You are our constant that is always here to support us on all the shows. And you don't even live here in this country. And you're on this opposite time zone. The toilets go the opposite direction. It's this crazy thing. But you're still here to support us. So we appreciate you, man.
Yeah, I've unfortunately, I'm over here, and in Australia, I fly a PPC. My love was backpacks even before I started building. So I'm going back to the 90s, and I followed. We were talking about Mr. Tucker and McDonald's, and I think I started before that. And the shows, I think Paragliding Talk would be the first one, correct, Linda?
Yeah.
Yeah, and OPN, of course, and PPG Grandpa, great show, one of the greatest. And
don't forget Anthony Vella.
Well, I'd have to
Oh,
say earlier shows was Cloud-Based Mayhem,
He's still there.
the Paramotor
Yeah.
podcast, which
Oh,
was
true.
Anthony Villas.
Right, Anthony Vella.
I'm
Yeah.
just putting it out there. That was before.
He's the one that I listened to originally.
yeah, well, that was a little bit before my time. I didn't know of the podcast at the time. And yes, I've been following, I don't know, Robert, what's Robert's show now? 5 years, I think, Linda?
Pretty
About
close.
4, something like that. Getting about years, I think.
Seven.
you know,
We're almost 200, so yeah, it's been a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah.
I'm not a PPG flyer, but in my mind, I've flown with you guys and everything with your vlogs, and some great ones at that. and your country. As I said, I love it. Seeing different areas, to me, it's beautiful. I didn't see all of your country, so the extras is just a bonus at 65 to be able to see you guys. It gives me great gratitude, and I'm flying with you, okay?
There you go.
Yeah, my heart and my mind is with you, and paragliding to me would be the ultimate. As in free flight, I've felt gliding in my past, having flown power and gliders. Paragliding to me would be the ultimate as a bird.
There you
I
go.
agree.
Well, I have to say, listen to what Walter said there, talking about, and Sean talking about past shows and shows that are still going on. I hope that in a few years from now, people are not looking back at us and talking about the show that used to be. I hope that we're still going strong. We're 100 shows now, and approaching over a couple years, I think, to do that. Man, it's been a great time. If I had any advice to give to anybody that is thinking about getting this sport, first off, it would be get off your butt, do it. Life is too short.
Yep.
Next, go to Will Fly's channel, watch every video he ever made.
That's true. That's true. That's true. That last video you did, it has over 9,000
Right.
hits. All your tips and tricks. I love it.
And then go
Good
get
one.
training. And after you get proper training, get gear, and then go fly and get on the show with us.
Absolutely.
Talk to you.
Well, we'll talk to you
Good
before you fly if you want to. We've talked to people before
just
they've
do pilots.
flown.
Just do pilots. We talked about it.
And then never stop learning.
No, we never stop teaching. Pay it forward.
Absolutely.
Never stop learning. You're always going to learn something if you just stop and listen. You
That's
listen
right.
to everyone
IV.
that you've run across flying. There may be something that this guy's good at that you're not so good at. There may be something that you're really good at that they suck at. But you can learn from each other. And as long as you're learning, you're growing. And if you're growing,
That's why
it's a beautiful thing.
Yep.
That's the show's so great, because we've met so many with that PPG Grandpa has brought to us, and of all forms, and knowledge, as you said, Sean, long as you listen, and that's what this show is about, especially Sean's podcast. So, if you listen, you can pick up a lot.
I sure did. Right, Sean? Sean and Sean? I mean, the last few years.
I know you're talking to Sean or Grandpa. I mean,
Sean
we
and
don't know.
The Sean. Yeah.
Well, Sean Nasser,
Sean.
I would say to what you just said about flying is I will always remember something AJ Goen told me when I was training an aviator as a new student. He said that at 50 hours, I thought that I would know it all. When I got to 50 hours, I realized I didn't know anything. And you just continue to learn as you go.
That's true.
No matter how good you get at this sport, there's always going to be somebody better at doing something that you can learn from.
Yeah.
So just keep an open mind. The more people you can fly with and learn from, the better a pilot you're going to be.
Exactly.
Don't treat it as a competition. Just treat it as knowledge.
Most of us don't. We're here to support each other.
Yeah.
We're not here to beat each other like some.
And now,
some
might I add, the first lesson you're going to learn before anything is do your parapet first before you put your gear on. All right. I'm just saying, because it never fails. You get that motor on your back, you get hooked in, you got everything warmed up, everything's getting ready to go, and you go,
I gotta pee.
you're ready to take a step forward, and you're like, man, I should have hit the can before I left.
There you go. A
You
good
know?
pilot always takes care of business before he goes flying, right?
That's
Yeah.
You
right.
know
Yeah,
how
do
hard
your
it is
parapet
to get a
first.
paramotor and a porta potty?
Mhm.
God.
Hey, you get. I can see you trying. I can see you trying, Will.
Sean, do you walk around, just ask people before they get ready to fly? Okay, you have to go potty, you better go now. If you gotta go, you better go.
Well, you know, with the Angel, you got that one pole harness type of thing. The way it's set, you can actually unzip and pee as you're flying. I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah.
Just saying.
Dang.
Is that Grandpa flying? What the hell?
I think we've
Yeah.
seen videos on YouTube covering such shenaniganry, and they've replied that it's a terrible idea because the propeller sucks air in. Now it doesn't care what it sucks, whether it's water or whether it's air, it's still sucking it in. And if air is flowing in,
Air's flowing back behind me, so it's all right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, you're about to get a sprayer
pilot
soon.
behind you.
It's gonna shoot.
Yeah.
That's a vision.
Yeah.
I'll never look at paramotoring the same ever. I'll be like watching everybody flying the videos. I wonder, God, did he just do what I thought he did?
I have a question to the subject, Linda.
What?
Getting back to getting in the seat early. Now, I'll ask you, the panel, the experts, why do people tend to sit early? Because to me, landing gear, you don't put up until you're in flight. Now
it's a DNA thing. When you have that feeling of lifting, you automatically feel like you got to sit.
Right, but that's not flight yet. But
some of those seats are designed to scoop you up as well.
Well, the thing is, as I say, your landing gear you don't put up till you have flight. So to me, having not done it, in my mind is don't put up my landing gear until I'm flying, because I might get sync and use that landing gear.
All right.
So
Walter, I want to tell you something. All right.
Yeah.
I knew, because I watched all these videos. I read everything. I just knew I would never sit too soon. I would never turtle, for God's sakes. I'd never come in and land on my knees. And the first 5 flights, I hit every single one.
You did wonderful.
It's just one of those things that you can know it in the noggin, but once you get out there and you first do this, the DNA says something totally different. Just like when you're trying to kite this pendulum thing, the wing goes this way, you feel like I have to pull this way, but you don't. You have to get underneath of it. It's totally opposite. And when people watch this on YouTube and they're like, oh, I will never sit too soon. I will never, turtle. I'll never do this or that. And I can probably put a wing up and be a god. No. This is totally opposite of anything you've ever learned or felt or tried to do in your life.
When you're dangling there and then
Never
the
say
wing,
never.
and the wing pulls you back and it changes your angle of coming down at the ground, and you're feeling like you're going to fall on your back anyway. Oh, I don't want to crush my legs. Let's get them out of the way. The equipment's fine. Let's get rid of the equipment, but not my body. It's just instincts are kicking in left, right, and center.
Yeah.
I can see the instinct of raising your legs to get them out of the way and so on. But it's just, the other thing is, let's say you've got flight now, you're still out of the seat. Is it any harder to get into the seat?
No, the seat scoops you up. That's why when that's why when it starts going up, it feels like you're being scooped up. So you just automatically feel like, okay, I'm going to sit down.
Well, a lot of that depends on how your harness is set up and if it's set up correctly or not too. Yeah. Because if your harness isn't set up correctly, you're going to have to kick. You're going to have to move one arm to get your seat up underneath your butt. If it's not set up right, you're going to struggle. And that's what you want to avoid. You want it to be where when you get off the ground, you're still kicking your little legs. Even if your feet are off the ground, you're still kicking those little legs. Stubby nubbies. That's what I call them. Stubby nubbies. All right. Kick them bad boys, And once you're in the air and you're gaining altitude and everything's good, everything looks good, guess what? Then you can kick your legs up and the seat right under the tissue,
Yeah. I wonder how much of it is psychological, though. I mean, you tell a kid not to do something, what's he going to do? He's going to do it, right? Every instructor out there drills into you beforehand. Don't sit too early.
Brian,
don't sit too early. You're going to feel the desire to sit too early.
Don't think pink elephant. Yeah. Don't think pink elephant. Stop thinking pink elephant.
Wonder if we encourage them to continue running until we tell them to stop, or find a better way of doing it. I mean,
Run till you're
is there a
tired,
better
keep
way?
running.
Yeah, Brian, I think you're onto something there. I mean, the first thing I remember is my instructor saying, on my first launch, I want to see your legs running until I tell you not to, or it was until you get to whatever it was, the 100 feet. Maybe he meant 10 feet, but 10 feet feels like 100 feet to you when you're first flying, leave the ground. So
Yeah.
it's hard to consciously make yourself do that running, but that keeps you from sitting in the seat.
In my mind, I see myself in an aircraft, and that feeling when you see yourself, or you're in the air and the wheel is turning, on your landing gear, it's still turning, and as a pilot, you hit the brake to stop that. But yeah, it's the same thing to me. Is get flight first before you pull up your landing gear. So it's just in my mind. I hope that one day when I do it, I do it correct and not sit down. That's all. So
You'll remember this. You'll say, I just knew I was not going to sit. I'm not going to turtle. I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, Brian, you're onto something there. Seriously. I mean,
there's no will. Though, listen,
tell you to stop.
There's no perfect solution, though. Listen, that's exactly what they told us at Aviator. You will win the award if we have to tell you to stop running into the sky. All right. The award was you didn't have to buy a new prop. All right.
Yeah.
But the flip side of that is if somebody's too aggressively running into the sky, we literally had a guy in our class that he kept running, and it was exaggerated, and his foot went into the prop. He was named Chop Chewy. So there's a flip side of this. You don't run enough, you sit early, or you do it perfect, or you run too much and you stick a foot in the prop. I mean, so, what do you do as an instructor from that perspective? What's the perfect median to find? I mean, how do you be the most successful? That's the question.
I've watched aviators, shows and stuff, and they, showed, first flight people, and they say, keep on running. And then they try to sit, and they don't sit, keep on running. So, I mean, it's just, I feel that it's like DNA. I mean, it just feels like the way you're being pushed like this, you feel yourself being pulled up, you feel your chair coming underneath your butt, and it just feels natural to go, okay, I need to sit. And
what I found helps with me, I know I don't have to kick my stubby legs when I get off the ground. I know I don't have to. I know I don't have to because one, my wing is big enough to lift me up without my motor. Number two, it doesn't take my half throttle and I'm off the ground 5,000 feet within 10 minutes. But I imagine it like I'm running, and when I get into the air, I'm still running that escalator up as I'm going up. I'm kicking them legs. If I do about 10 kicks, I'm about high enough to where I can stop kicking my legs. Now I can sit. You know what I mean? About 10 good kicks, and you're giving full throttle, and you're off the ground. All right. You're already in the air. You're going up. That's a trick. You're going up.
It's really hard though when you're a good pilot. I honestly can't remember the last time I ran and did not do a foot drag as I was taking off. I'm running, I do a foot drag, I take off. I mean, I come in, I foot drag, and then I, do a quick landing. I mean, I don't do things like a newbie pilot would. I can't remember what it felt like to not, to sit down,
I still do it.
Or to turtle and stuff like that.
I still kick my legs. I don't do the foot drag takeoffs, and I've done none of that really. It's part of what I do, man. I kick those little stubby legs. I get up in the air. You still see me kick, even though I'm not doing it like, just kick to the beat of the music. As long as they're moving, it's okay. Because guess what? If I come back down, they're still moving. They're not sitting still.
Yeah, I'm doing a darn foot drag because I know that at a certain speed, and a certain grip, on the throttle, I know that I'm doing a foot drag, And I know that if I go down too far, I just pull a little bit brake and a little bit more throttle, and I'm going to be up. It doesn't make any difference. Now, Brian hasn't done a foot launch since he's got his retractor trike. And Will Fly, he went from a Atom 80 to a Moser 185, and he only takes a couple steps in no wind. So share that real quick, Brian, as far as not running anymore.
So yeah, I'm getting fat, lazy. I never run. I take off downwind, crosswind. I don't care anymore. No, seriously though, I always take off with a full tank. My trim setting on launch and landing is not as big of a deal anymore. I have not foot launched since I got my wheels. I talked to some other people. They fly their retractor trike with their front wheel out all the time. As soon as I take off, literally I'm 5 feet in the air. My front wheel comes under the seat, and it's just like foot launch from then on until I land. So to me, it's the best of both worlds. Yeah, I can foot launch, but I don't need to.
I love to trike too. How about you, Will? You went from an Atom 80 where you had to run across the football field, and now you got the 185, and you can just take a couple steps and be in the air. What's that like?
That is just like like I've said before, I feel like I'm Superman coming from the Atom 80
You
without
are Superman.
no, but I don't keep running anymore, but I always keep my legs out. And there's just no advantage to getting in the seat early. What would be the advantage of doing it? And so since there is no advantage to doing it, just keep my legs down, and ready to run if I need to. I mean, I'm in a running stance already, so I'll keep my legs in that position. But I'm not saying that I didn't have to struggle with it, because I did. I struggled immensely with wanting to sit, but I kept running during that process. But now that I'm comfortable with, I understand why I need to do something. I don't know. I just keep doing it.
With the Atom 80, you did have to keep on running because you could go up a little bit and come back down because you just didn't have a lot of power, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah.
I have to clarify. He says he's not Superman, but I know for a fact that he can walk on water. He has done it with his Atom 80. So he has
like that, Brian.
This guy landed in a creek, ran it out, kited his wing down on the bank, didn't even fall and get his motor wet.
Wow.
It was pretty impressive. And
it blew up. I saw him blow up and he walked out.
Thanks to God, yeah.
And he lived to tell. He lived to tell.
If you've seen the same guy, if you've seen the same guy trying to walk in the creek without a motor on his back, he probably needed a hiking stick. He almost fell down a bunch of times, but with a motor on his back and a wing over his head, he's pretty stable.
Hey, Will, I want to just rub it into the rest of the panel, Mr. 2.5 litre at fuel burn. How much throttle do you reckon you actually use on takeoff?
I don't use full throttle.
No.
I don't know how much, but I don't use full throttle. Probably, I don't know, I guess 65%, maybe somewhere 70%.
How many steps do you take before you're in the air then?
I mean, that just depends on what the winds are. So in a no wind situation, which I hate to do, so I don't do a lot of no wind launches. Gosh, I just did one of those a few days ago, probably 7, 6.
Yeah. On no wind, I take a maximum of 10. Yeah.
10 what?
10 steps.
Oh, holy crap, man.
And
okay. My 18 meter V-King and my 25 meter Magic, I take 4 steps.
How much do you weigh, Sean?
On nil wind, are we talking?
143.
Are we talking about nil wind?
Nil wind, maybe 6 steps most.
Okay, that's what Will does, about 6 steps. I take maximum of 10 on no wind. I mean, that's nothing. And when there's any wind at all, 3 steps and I'm just, it's like an elevator.
2. Yeah. Literally 2 steps. 1, 2, I'm off the ground. Yeah.
You guys
Let's go back
pull a lot
to
of
counting.
brake?
What's that?
You pull brake?
Mm.
Just for a quick second.
Just to get up?
Yeah, it's like I'm my hands are up with a little bit of pressure until I'm at that speed, like at at that 10th step where I know I'm at that speed. I just give a little bit like this, bring it back up, I'm in the air. I mean, it just doesn't take much for me to go boop in the air. I like boop in the air.
Hey, Brian, are you ever going to come back to us, man? Or have we lost you forever?
Well, you mean the foot launch crowd that sits over there in the poplar
Yeah,
section?
the good side.
Cool kids.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe, man. Maybe so. But I was planning on doing a foot launch again when I was an aviator when the winds were ideal, but I just never got around to it.
Yeah, no wind.
I don't know, man. It's been a while, so
No wind. I like my trike. Strong winds. I like to foot launch. So I guess you really haven't had a lot of heavy winds or strong winds, Brian, because with a trike, it's hard to launch when you have high winds, right?
No, I've never launched with more than about a 7 or 8 mile an hour headwind with my trike doing a forward, obviously. I'm not one of those guys that have attempted to do a reverse on my trike and turn it around.
But
no,
that's
I'm always
next.
flying in good conditions. Yeah,
Yeah.
so no, I have not been in that situation yet, for sure.
Okay, real quick, Jim, since you're a newbie, kind of 6 months in, congratulations at your almost 100. How many steps does it take for you to get in the air? And as soon as you leave the ground, are you still running or are you getting in your seat?
I don't know how many steps it takes for me to get in the air, but I know pretty much now where I can just sit in my seat. I do not run off the ground. Oftentimes I probably sit a little too early because I can easily foot drag now for a little while and go up into the air.
Oh, so you have launched and done foot drag?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness, you are really moving up in the world.
It's not deliberate, but
Hey, you did a foot drag?
It's happening.
You did a foot drag, Jim?
Off a launch, yeah.
On purpose?
Not 100% on purpose. My throttle got caught between the brake got caught between my throttle and I was running so hard and I couldn't get it to go, and I thought, so I kind of put some more brake on and then I just hopped in the seat so I could get off and get going.
It'll be mainly throttle management for that. Just letting you know. It's more about throttle management. And it's not like you're thinking where I give it a little bit and it goes, huh, and I just kind of hover there. No, it's not. You're giving a little, letting a little off, giving a little, letting a little off. It's a constant play motion with that throttle to get it to push you just enough to keep you where you're going level,
Well, yeah, I've done foot drags, but I mean, off of takeoff, it's a little different, right? Because your throttle, my throttle anyway, is not that accurate. Like if I let off my throttle, I can't control it that well. I have to use my brakes in order to maintain my altitude and my direction when I'm doing a foot drag.
I have a trigger throttle, not a bicycle handle throttle. It's like a trigger, like a gun type of thing. And I've never used a bicycle handle type that you guys have. Do y'all use a bicycle handle or do you use the trigger like a gun?
I use a bicycle, but my bicycle's a little decapitated because I don't like it being over the middle finger. I don't like the way. Okay,
that's a canvas throttle.
Yeah, I don't care for them being long like that because exactly what you said, Jim. getting it caught between that brake handle and the throttle and the handle itself. When that brake gets in between, it can cause a problem. It can get caught and stuck if you're pulling on the brake. It can get caught and stuck. Now you're full throttle. Not a good spot to be in. I've got mine trimmed down to where it's my pinky and my ring finger. Okay, that's what I go off of. I use my pinky and my ring finger. These two fingers here are what I use for my brakes. I use my brakes just like, you know, two fingers, you know.
Yeah, I'm
But
doing the same thing because it's just it's happened to me more than once now, and it's really annoying. Like the last time I took off, I was actually running with the wind, and then it jammed again. And so I was just man, I had never run so fast in my life.
I did a video one time on what does it feel like to try to launch with the wind. It was only like 1 or 2 miles an hour, right? I've never run so fast in my life with the wind. Like 1 mile an hour is just not much.
Makes a big difference.
Huge difference.
And that's another thing too with like what you were talking about with your right and left hand throttles. You know, I use a right hand throttle. The reason why is because I have more control over what I'm doing with that throttle when I'm doing what I'm doing with it. These two little fingers here, I have pretty good timing and control with these two fingers on my dominant hand. That's why I prefer to use it, because that's a stronger hand. You know, Brian. You got like, come on, Brian. You know, yeah.
We're talking about throttles. I fly with the Clement, and it was a 3-finger throttle. I cut it to a 2-finger throttle.
Okay.
2 fingers and a brake. It's in my left hand, which is my dominant hand. I know I should be flying with the right-handed throttle, but you know, the Clement was definitely too long. A finger got stuck on it. I had problems with the brake toggle. You know, if you're a newbie, you got a lot of stuff going on in that throttle hand to start with, you know, that you're not used to. And then add a glove on top of that you're not used to, or something like that, you lose dexterity. But yeah, it's easy to get the brake toggle, you know, stuck in there like that you're talking about, Jim. I can see that happening easy.
Has anyone used a thumb throttle?
Yeah, Sean flies a thumb throttle. Oh no, you don't. Sorry, I apologize.
No.
I've seen it, but I haven't used it.
You're flying along, and you go for like a 2 or 3 hour flight. You come back, and then as you're coming in, because you haven't had your brakes in your hand the whole time, you grab your brakes, you bring them down, but then just as you're about to flare, you throw the brake away. They're trying to get off the throttle. That's a scary situation.
Is that with a thumb throttle, you said, Jim?
No, I wasn't. It was my 3 throttle, my Kangoo.
So your bicycle brake type of thing, right?
Yeah, but basically what I was doing, I went for a flight. It was only like my 30th or maybe 35th flight. Went for a flight, and it was like 3 hours long. Stowed the brakes. Just had this one brake. Even put my throttle on cruise control and set it off to the side and just cruised around. Well, then I came back, grabbed it.
Oh, I see. And as you grabbed it, it went full throttle?
No, I was ready to land. Everything was good. I had my trims right perfect. And then I went to let off the throttle. And I threw the brake.
And you threw the brake.
I was like, whoa, and grab this one and pull it down. Well, then you go in a nice big circle.
How was your landing?
I landed on my knees and pretty much on my face.
Isn't it amazing? Isn't it amazing that you can like come in for a landing with one of these paramotors, land on your knees and face, and walk away with like, oh, that was embarrassing, but really no injuries.
Yeah. It's wonderful that those arms are in the front and they're just, you know, you're pretty.
Speed is everything, man. You know, speed is exponentially worse on damage so as you go faster. So, you know, if you're cruising around at 20 miles an hour, and you hit something that's not nearly as bad as 30. That's for sure. But
Yeah, I kind of look at it like a gooseneck swing arms, and your J bars is like a safety belt. Yeah, I mean, really, you can land on your knees, laying flat on your face, and guess what? You're fine. You got enough
It's
room.
like falling off a moped. I mean, we're not going
Yeah.
that fast, especially if you're able to give a little bit of flare before you hit. We'll fly real quick on your throttle. I didn't hear what you do.
I had the Pliny throttle. I use my non-dominant hand, so my left hand, and I have not cut mine down, but I have had the issue where the toggle got stuck in between and kept me from going full power. So I can see the need for that. Jim,
Okay.
I've never done anything that ridiculous, but I have landed without getting out of my seat.
so do you use 3 fingers on your throttle bit wheel?
I use no, because these I use for the brake. I'm still using these 2 fingers for the throttle.
Yeah, see, that's why I did what I did with mine, was because I use these 2 fingers anyway for my throttle. These 2 I'm using on my brake, so I don't need to worry about that big finger thing because it's just in the way. It's constantly in the way.
Sense, and it's probably something I should do. I haven't had that issue in for a while, but I have had it, so I could see it happening.
Interesting.
And Jim, I'm just kidding, right? Yeah, I'm just kidding with you, man.
Yeah.
A lot worse than that.
Well, it is 10 o'clock. It's I guess it's been 3 hours. We've done this for 3 hours. I mean, we could probably go for another couple hours. I mean, I can talk paramotors a lot, which is probably why I have a podcast and I have shirts that say warning may talk about paramotors. But I bet you anything, we don't have too many more viewers and they're ready to go to bed. I know that my wife already said, hey, I'm going to bed. Are you coming to bed? And I'm like, yeah, I better get my butt to bed. If the wife is saying that, I better get to bed, right?
How about this? We'll do it again next week.
I think we should. I definitely think we should do this again next week. And every week from here on out till we have like 10 seasons and then keep on going.
We got Justin Terrell next Monday. Make sure.
Oh yes, Justin Trell. Yep, next Monday.
Yep.
We don't have anybody for episode 102 on the 27th. Episode 103 on the 3rd we don't, but on the 10th we have somebody, right?
Yeah. Jack.
Do somebody.
Have Jack.
Jack Burton.
You got Jack on the 10th. All right.
Yeah. Should be a good show.
We always have good shows. I really like this. I'm real so glad that you guys hung out with me today. 100 episodes. Can't wait till next year. I mean, season 3 is coming up in what, a couple weeks?
We having a Christmas shing-ding next week?
Shing-ding? A shing-ding?
I don't know. I mean, the 27th is that Monday right after Christmas. I don't know. Do you think?
I'm planning on putting on my Rudolph nose and foot dragging some roofs personally for Christmas. So, hey, Santa's coming, baby.
Don't get caught in the power lines.
Yeah, like last year.
No, I've already been in one Tucker review video. That's enough.
Yeah,
so,
it'll make national world news if you do.
Yeah, it will.
Just think how famous you're going to be, Brian.
Yeah.
What, if I can get a hay bale above the power lines, is that what's going on?
Oh man, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, hey,
All
happy
right.
100th episode.
Yeah, happy.
Y'all.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy 100.
On Monday.
Amazon. Cheers, buddy.
Congratulations, y'all.
Yeah, so thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate you hanging out with me over here at ClearProp TV. If you're listening to us, you probably search for PPG Grandpa's Paramotor Podcast or found us on paratalk.org. Find us every Monday night at clearproptv.com. Thank you very much, Jim. He helps us out with printing. You can always find his shenanigans at careppg.com, but he also does a lot of cool things as far as printing, and he has a printing place up in Canada, carepp.com. Tell us a little bit about that, Jim.
Yeah, I do printing.
You do printing. All right.
I do printing.
He does printing.
My wife told me today or yesterday, sorry, that I don't explain it enough. that means I can print business cards
Ah,
or stickers
Cool.
or
or
decals,
decals or checks.
I got my
Just want money.
calendar. I got my calendar.
Jim, I reckon you should print a picture and information on all of our legends that they can give out at the FlyIns for free. Well,
Temporary tattoos, maybe.
Oh yeah,
No.
temporary tattoos.
That'd be a good idea.
Tattoos.
No, we do it.
Cakes.
Can you make? Hey Jim, since you print, can you make T-shirts too?
You can.
Yeah.
I'm actually working on some wind socks.
Oh,
There you
cool.
There you
Yeah.
go. I knew it. I knew it. You can
He's
do
making
it.
some.
Jim.
He's making some Clear Prop TV wind socks. I love it.
We do it. You guys do it in drag racing. All the drivers have their own personal photographs of their race cars. So a good picture of you in the air with your name, perhaps even signed, with a few details of the hours, blah, 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 of what you've done on the back. And it's just something you give out to the kids, and they go home and hang it up on their walls, and one day they want to be a pilot, just like
Right.
Will Fly.
I'm a kid. You can give it to me, right?
Sounds good. Send me your favorite picture and your bio, and I'll do it for you.
There you go.
Oh, well.
And so Jim, how does Walter from Down Under get up with you then?
You can connect with me through the website on carepp.com or through my
Canadians,
Facebook page, Care Printing and Publishing, and I will help you out.
Awesome. Thank you, Jim, so much. We appreciate you, buddy. We also got Will Fly from willflyppg.com. Tell us a little bit about what you do and your really cool YouTube site.
I like flying paramotors and making videos about them. And you can find me at youtube.com/willfly, or thanks to PPG Grandpa, willflyppg.com. It's an honor to be here on the 100th episode, really.
I appreciate you being on here, buddy. I do. And your tips and tricks video already has over 9,000 views. It was absolutely amazing. If you haven't seen it, go over to willflyppg.com. Look at his last video. Absolutely amazing. Just the tip, right? Is that what it said? Just the tip?
Just the tip. And I have to say that I take no credit for that. That's all you guys that put that together. I really appreciate that.
Well, that was really awesome. I appreciate you. We also have Brian Haybale Waller. When he needs to leave, he goes, "Hey, I need a bail."
There you go, bail guy. Yeah.
But you were on our which episode? 26?
Yeah, that's right. Episode number 26 is when y'all invited me on to talk about the hay bale episode, probably about 2 or 3 weeks after the accident. So it was pretty fresh, and I just kind of clicked with the crew here and hung around, and we've been doing episodes ever since. Just love flying paramotors, talking about paramotors, making videos about paramotors, and maybe one day teaching you how to fly paramotors is where I want to go. So yeah, you can check out some videos I make, ppgbryant.com, take you to my YouTube page. And if you haven't seen all Will Fly's videos, don't even come to my page, because he makes some really good videos. No, I'm just kidding. Will makes incredibly good videos, and I will always look up to him and his skills. And yeah, that's that.
Hey Brian, shouldn't they go to your page first, then mine, then Will's? That way,
because once they go to Will's, that's it. They're not going anywhere else.
Yeah, they'll just turn our channels off.
There you go.
Hey, one thing, I know Brian's got a video that's coming up that's do you want to say anything about it, Brian, or do you not want me to say anything about it?
You can talk about it, man. It's okay.
It's a story about guys getting together and their journey for training or through training. And it really kept my attention throughout. So he's got something good coming out there.
Cool.
You definitely want to check it out.
So make sure you go over to ppgbrian.com, hit that subscribe button and that bell notification, because something really good's coming out. I like that. So thank you very much.
Brian, could you do a video on the 10 best ways to hit a hay bale?
I only know one good way, man.
Funny.
I don't know 10 good ways. I'm sorry. I'm just not qualified for that video. But I do know one damn good way to hit one, and that's stare at it until you fly to it. And yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, your last video where it shows, if you want to go through the hay bales, look through the hay bales, not at a hay bale. That was really good too.
Yeah, common sense to most of us, right? Or most of y'all that have been there and done that. But to some people, they just might not know that simple little trick that can save them an accident.
Absolutely.
Thanks to you, we don't have to do it.
That's right.
We got a video we can watch, and we don't want to do it.
There you go.
We also got Walter from Down Under. Even though he does fly PPC, he is an honorary ppgwalter.com.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Honorary, yes.
Yeah.
You can catch me on Facebook, people. That's the only thing I have at the moment. But when I get flying, I'm going to have a channel, and it may be pretty raw footage, good or bad. It's what you're going to see.
Raw is good. Everybody likes raw.
Yeah.
And so thank you, Walter. I know that you could be sleeping or eating lunch. I don't know what you're doing over there, but you could be doing anything, but you hung out with us. So thank you very much, buddy. Good to see you.
2:40 in the afternoon.
Oh, it must be nice. So so there is a tomorrow. Thank God.
Yeah.
All right, there is a tomorrow.
There you
Good
go.
day, coming your way.
Good deal. We also got Linda Anderson. She's our PR girl, our cheerleader. You can always find her at paramomusa.com. That goes over to her Linda Anderson Facebook page. So if you want to be a guest, just get up with her. And something goes on Thursday nights. What goes on Thursday nights?
Oh my gosh. I get so excited about Thursday. Paraglidingtalk.com with your host, Robert Michael. It's always a good time.
Who's Robert Michaels to you? Who's Robert Michaels to you?
He's my awesomest son.
He's
My
your
other
son.
awesomest son. I have an awesomest son here that lives by me, but then I have another awesomest son. Yes. But you guys are legends. Okay, to me, you guys are legends. Like,
Oh, well, we couldn't do this without you. You probably booked more than half the people that have been on this last 100 episodes. So we definitely appreciate
it's
you.
so fun. And like I said, I try to look for that next guest, get them on here and start new friendships and all that stuff. And good.
Absolutely.
Good.
Absolutely.
I tried to reach out to some people tonight, kind of remind them, hey, jump in the Zoom, and most of them were kind of busy or whatever, and that's all good. But this was a really good night. I wouldn't have missed it for the world. Not at all.
Absolutely. Well, we definitely appreciate you so much. Thank you to you. Thank you to your son, Robert Michaels, for paraglidingtalk.com. And every Monday night, you have Clear Prop TV, which is also PPG Grandpa's Paramotor podcast. On Tuesdays, on the first of the month, you have ppgshane.com, where he does a nice little podcast talking about paramotors and whatever pops up. And also throughout the rest of the week, on Tuesday evenings, we have PPG Lear, Lear, where Eric takes over and does a Tuesday night podcast. And then on Wednesday, we have an all-girl podcast. You can find paramotorgirl.com, which is our I'm drawing a blank. I'm drawing a blank. Flying Flamingo Jade, yes, Flying Flamingo Jade, paramotorgirl.com. Don't mess up on live air like I just did. I'll never hear the end of it. But that's our 100th episode. Thank you very much, everybody. I love you guys, and we'll see you tomorrow, and next day, and the next day, and next Monday. Y'all have a great day, and thank you so much for joining us. All my love. Thank you.
Good night, guys.
Peace out.
Peace out.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate y'all.
Show 100. Awesome.
Show 100.